and we feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway. To play, haters face the world's mistakes. Wake at the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
Guess who just got monetized on YouTube, boys? Look out. What's up, Andrew Back? What's up, brother? The problem's going to be as soon as someone hops on and plays "You're an Asshole," that's it. I'm done. Demonetized. But it's, I don't know, as small as I am right now, it's probably like that's 1,000 bits. That's probably more, especially if we got like 2 of them. It's probably more than I would make on the video anyways. Just a second, I'm finishing setting up the YouTube here. Okay, I think we got it. Let me kill this music. And we'll hit the internet, or we'll hit the intro with Intel Lady. Intro Lady. How about that? Check out Intel Lady on YouTube. She's actually pretty hilarious. She's done a couple of like legit comedy shows, or at least one for a couple days. Check her out.
Hey everybody, it's Kim Cold here. Listen up, you guys are really mad at me because of my last broadcast. I disclosed a God dream where we were all instructed by God to subscribe to Cold Beer Confessional channel on Rumble and BitChute and Twitch and YouTube. Listen, it's
thank you,
not my
legend.
fault. I have to disclose what I'm told by God. So don't get mad at me. If you want to do something about that, the best thing you can do is go into the comments section on his YouTube channel. Just imagine these guys are you guys going into the Will Bird's comments section and saying things like, your channel is trash, your sunglasses look ridiculous, you're not a real patriot, or, your wife can do better, just anything like that. And for those of you saying that actually that will help his channel because it will bring more engagement and it'll help the algorithms, I've already run this past Uncle Teshy. Uncle Teshy knows about algorithms, okay? There is nothing Nikola Tesla is more expert at than YouTube algorithms. And if he says it won't affect it, then it won't affect it. So I strongly suggest that you guys get into the comments section and call this guy an asshole.
Welcome, everybody. I am Will Bird. Thank you for joining us. Call this guy an asshole. Thank you for coming out. We're live right now on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. If you can watch on Twitch, I would appreciate it. That helps me out a lot more for the channel or whatever. I did see that comment. I'm eating yogurt and Percocets. That sounds like me in high school, but thank you for joining us with the yogurt and with the Percocets. Yes, Twitch benefits the show the most, But if it's like if there's some reason you can't watch on Twitch, I don't want you just not to watch. You can watch somewhere else. But if you can go to Twitch, that would be great. I started late. I've had a couple of long days where I didn't sleep at all last night. Worked all day on my dad's car today with his he's got rear auto leveling air suspension on the back of his new car he got. Oh, he's used his 2004 new car he got, and it was messed up. God, I spent all day. I was there since like 9 or 10 o'clock this morning. Spent all day doing that. All day the day before yesterday. Finally got it working. It seems like it's straightened out a little bit, or at least better. There's still stuff to be done, but it's good enough to use now. Do I have to install Twitch? No, you can watch through the you can watch through a browser. You just go to coldbeer.live. Cold Beer, just type in, open Chrome or Safari and type in coldbeer.live, and it'll just open it. Anyways, it's in a lot better shape now. Good to drive. He ain't wearing his tires out and crazy. It was affecting the, I guess that would be camber. It was affecting the camber of the tires pretty badly, and some of the, I guess they were towed out some because of the way the air shock sits in there. It is a Nissan Armada. Armada? I can't remember which one it is, but it's that vehicle. It's like a big SUV locked. He found one at a used car lot for a good deal, but we knew it would probably have a few issues. So we are working out the issues currently. But thank you guys for joining us. We're going to talk about Derek Johnson tonight, and that'll probably be it. I am currently in a sponsorship deal for the next week with a video game. It is a game that you can get on your phone. It is a game that you can play on the computer. It is called Mech Arena. Now, there's a link below this video on Twitch, and there's a link right there in chat that says this stream is sponsored by Mech Arena, free to play on PC and mobile. It's completely free. Now, I didn't realize it was so hard to get to Division 9. So basically, there's these divisions you go through. I'm going to be playing it probably tomorrow. I was supposed to play it today, but I spent all day working today. I'm going to be playing it on a stream probably tomorrow. But for me to get credit for it, you get down to something called Division 9. And when you get there, I get credit for it. And then I need 72 people to do that, I think. And then there's another goal, but I only need 8 people to do that. So that'll probably make my moderators try to do it if they can. And then I'll find a few more people. But if you don't care to use my link and download that, I would greatly appreciate it. If you need that link like on Facebook or Rumble or something, let somebody know, and hopefully they can get it to you. But yeah, it's the streams.net Rumble, strms.net link, and it's in chat. You should be able to see it. If you're on YouTube, make sure you're on live chat, not top chat. I know it says live chat at the top, but click live chat and then click live chat. It's stupid. So they call everything in that box live chat, but then once you click on live chat and bring the drop-down menu, then it'll say top chat, live chat. You have to click live chat twice to get up the bot commands. Either way, if you haven't been to the show in a little bit, we do have like these little trivia breaks, which are when my ads run on Twitch. So you'll probably see some trivia if you're on YouTube or Rumble or Facebook. Just we're running a poll on Twitch. That's how you vote. If you want to throw it in chat, that's fine. It just doesn't count. But I added, we're going to start it easy, okay? But we already had general knowledge, all levels. And now we've added history and politics, easy. History and politics, easy. So we'll see how that works. And if we need to bump it up if that's like children's questions, we need to bump it up from easy, we will go to medium or something. Other than that, I guess we can hop into it. If you want to support the show, go to coldbeer.fund. Coldbeer.fund, coldbeer.fund, and you can come hang out with us. Or you can send a donation. Sorry, I was thinking about Cold Beer Live. You can send a donation. You can do that through DonoClip, which is this one right here. That's where you can record an audio or video message and send it to me. You have to record the audio or video while you're in the app. I knew a bunch of those were going to come through. Thank you very much. Someone reached Division 9. I appreciate that. You have to record it while you got that app open. You can't have like one saved on your phone and upload it. Uh-oh, someone reached Division 9. Look out. Thank you very much. We got to get a bunch of those. I didn't realize it was going to be so hard. The last one we did, Raid Shadow Legends, all you had to do is basically complete the tutorial. It didn't take 5 minutes total, probably. Peace Cells. Thank you very much. That's the thing we're currently running. Thoughts from MT or Thoughts from T. Thank you. Thoughts from T. Got to. There's another one. Thank you guys. Damn. It's where I wasn't live, I guess. Jessica reached Division 9. 100 bits from Dreamweaver. Thank you very much. Was there a... Okay, that's 6 out of 12 so far. Dreamweaver says, fuck Derek Peckerwood, Stick Leg, Pencil Dick D. Johnson, a Floppy Flaccid Johnson. Thank you very much for that 100 bits. Oh, that's 7. I didn't see that last one, but I can probably look. Thank you for downloading the game. Thank you for participating in that. It's kind of like, it's a free game. It just takes a little bit of time to get a Division 9, but it's like donating to the show without having to donate, okay? It pays out a few $100s if I complete it. If I don't, it doesn't cost me or you anything. So it's not, it's not bad. I tried to follow the link and screwed something up and can't just scroll up in the chat. Just scroll with your thumb up to the link, or type in Mecca, exclamation point MECHA, exclamation point MECHA in the chat, and you can drop it yourself. Anyways, thank you for participating in that. I appreciate it. And thank you for getting to those levels. Also, you can join our Patreon. We have extra Patreon content. We're going to have some content this weekend for the patrons. You can use Buy Me a Coffee. That's an old tried and true method by a lot of people. So if you want to try any of that, you're more than welcome. But we've got other things to talk about over here. So let me, first of all, let me activate the trivia. I don't know when it'll come on, when the ad or the stuff will come on. But there you go. Playing on a phone is freaky. I haven't played it yet, to be honest with you. I know that Jessa told me it was addicting, that she played it almost all night. It won't. It only works on Twitch. Andrew, I'll send you the link though. The commands, the exclamation point commands, only work on Twitch. Let me drop it over there, and I'll just reply to you. Oh, that's what I forgot to do, was share this link. I knew I forgot something. It was too easy getting ready for the show. Reply an ad or the stuff will come on, but there you go. Here, reply to that ad. Paste. All right, I'm replying to your message, Andrew, if you want to download it. Jessa said it was pretty addicting. She seemed like she liked it. I'm going to be playing it live sometime tomorrow now that my dad's other car's going. I've still got a ton of work I need to do. I've got a plumbing job to do. I got to get his van fixed and sold. I've still got a shit ton of stuff to do, but I've only got a week to complete this, 7 days exactly to complete this sponsorship. So if I have to complete the sponsorship in the 7 days, I can work on the car later. This week, Atsuko's coming here to visit. I'm assuming she'll want to talk on the show or something. I need to set up another microphone. Maybe she doesn't want to be on camera, but she might want to talk on the show one night. So I'm assuming I need to set up a microphone for her, even if it's just on the other side of the screens. But she'll be here this coming week from... She gets here Monday, and then she leaves Thursday morning. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, she'll be here. Atsuko, you guys know, is from Japan, so she's coming to... she's doing some visiting in the U.S. She's coming to visit us. She's coming to visit some of her family, and she's coming to visit Bullshiffer. So if you don't know Atsuko, she's kind of a... she's a mod. She's been kind of like she's the innocence that our chat has lost, I guess. There it is, Andrew. I just shared it again. She's the innocence our chat has lost. So she's really funny. She's hilarious sometimes. But all right, let's get into this Derek Johnson thing. There's a couple things I wanna show and share. Let me go first to his Telegram page. That's where we'll start at. Yeah, she kind of planned it herself. You know, she had a family reunion already. And then she said, you know, she mentioned in chat one day, maybe I can come visit while I'm in the U.S. for my family museum. Is George Magazine credible? No, that's the No. George Magazine is run by Q-tards for Q-tards, right? Scott McKay was one of their first issues. It is Gene Ho, who could come out just in support of Trump at first. And I think he saw, so, you know, photographers are not typically getting a ton of spotlight, right? Their pictures stand for themselves, but them as a person, they don't get interviewed a whole lot. They don't get a whole lot of donations and support and followers. So basically, the first time he came out, he was just pro-Trump, and it was like, look, I know Trump, I like Trump, I love Trump, and I watch people be mean to Trump. They just mistreated him because they were Democrats and they didn't like that he was trying to save America or whatever. Once he got a little bit taste of that fame, he started falling further and further into Q-tardom, I guess. Like Scott McKay and claiming that JFK Jr., all the crazy Q-tard stuff. Well, he and a business partner and Laura Rightside, I think's her name, they reopened this George magazine. But it's for Q-tards, by Q-tards. There's no legitimacy to it. It's a joke, honestly. But Phil is in it, and I think they started selling them today or some shit. All right, so he shares, Derek Johnson shares an interview. He's on April 18th. That's not our interest, but he was on with that guy that I told you that contacted me on Telegram about taking down the liars and the scammers within the movement. Like he told me he'd have to vet me first, which was already a red flag for me. Like, I've been doing this for 3 years. Why the fuck do you need to vet me? Like, if anything, I need to vet you. I've never even heard your name. But it was weird how he kind of said it. Like, I'd have to vet you, of course. I'm not trying to ruin my reputation. Like, that was in his first message he ever sent to me. But he was talking about, he said, I think we're on the same team. We should work together. We can take down some of these scammers and blah, 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 whatever. And I messaged him back. I said, I don't think we're on the same team, and just never spoke to him again. He started working with Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson's on there pretty regularly now. His name is, the guy's name is Trump the Destroyer. Trump the Destroyer, and he has the Trump the Destroyer show. He's on Twitter and Rumble, it looks like. Locals and Rumble. I'm sorry, it's Ultra Trump the Destroyer. I always forget that part. Ultra Trump the Destroyer. Derek Johnson shares some more flights. What does he say about this? Today at 12, always a good time with my buddy Ultra. They've become good friends. They become close. He wanted to join me before he became friends with Derek. It was weird. Is he a stoner? I don't think so. Are you talking about CanCon? I've been on CanCon's show. Hold on. This is the guy. I don't think this guy's a stoner. It's that guy right there on the left. I'll have to skip ahead here, but we're not going to. This is not the one we're watching, but I'll show it to you for a second.
Struggling to lose weight.
I'll have to check that. Mods, is it not letting you do the mecha command? I'll have to check. It might just be for me. Let me turn it on for everybody.
That's all I need to psychologically be where I want to be in life. But should we wait, or should we?
I guess you could consider him a stoner. Yeah, I kind of see his eyes are glazed. I thought you meant like there's like CanCon and other ones that are like openly like advocating for smoking pot while they do their political shows.
For the dream now.
I got no issue with pot. Do all the pot you want. I've done about every drug you could imagine, except for some of the new shit. Hell, I was thinking back the other day. I was like, I wonder if I ever got a hold. I was trying to think if I ever thought that I got a hold of some fentanyl back in the day, which I don't think I did. Thank God. But yeah, I don't think I did.
Well, the American dream.
I hope not.
Like I tell people, America is an idea on a piece of paper in the Smithsonian. We've always had it, but we have to make that happen.
See, clearly, he and Phil are sharing that hat, and he went and got it back for this interview, obviously.
We have to do that every single day, which is why it's imperative and very vital and important to understand what some of our former, founders, former patriots said when they said, if we ever lose America, we're going to lose it from inside. It's not going to be anywhere else because of the way that we believe over here. So we always have the American dream. It's always there. It's always been there. It'll always be there as long as we're willing to fight for it. So
It says everybody can use the mecha command. It has a 15-minute cooldown. A 15-second cooldown and a 5-second global cooldown. I'll drop that to like 2 seconds. That means that an individual cooldown means that you one person, like if I want to do it over and over again, if I wasn't the owner of the channel, like say Miss Priss wanted to put it over and over again, it has a 15-second cooldown that she can put it. But she can put it, then J. Hyde Ashbury can put it almost immediately, 2 seconds later. So there you go. That should be saved now. Everybody should be able to do it. Exclamation point Mecha, M-E-C-H-A. Exclamation point M-E-C-H-A. And then that'll give you the link. Just go download the game. It's completely for free. Don't pay for anything. Don't do anything. All you have to do is get to something called Division 9. And it'll pop up on the screen and give me credit for it. I think Bucka was the first one to do it. He said it took him like 45 minutes of playing or something and listening to the show.
The American dream's there. We just have to fight for it every day. Now, that doesn't always mean on the battlefield. It has before in the past, but
he does kind of look like a stoner. That's all we were checking here. But yeah, I believe I see what you're saying now. He does kind of look like a stoner. Even when he looked down there, his eyes kind of look glazed. All right, next he shares a few more flight paths. One of them is about a UH-145. It is a light utility helicopter, LUH. It's a Bell. It replaced the Bell UH-1HV, and probably the OH-58 as well. It is the UH-72 variant. These are just different helicopters. They do logistics support, medevac, homeland security, disaster response. They do about everything. The UH-72 is the helicopter that he's tracking, I believe, from the pitch. Oh yeah, he's got it here. He's got the Wikipedia page here. UH-72 it's called the Little Bird Lakota. I don't know if you guys have ever seen an image of it. Let me see if I can find an image. Oh, here's one with a medevac symbol on it. So that's the UH-72 there. It was made by a different company, but now I don't remember the old company, but now it's made by Airbus. Now it's made by Airbus. It was called the UH-145, and then it went to UH-72. I think the old company is the one who called it the 145. But there it is. It's the Lakota, a light utility helicopter. So Derek's tracking it around the U.S., and he doesn't really say a whole lot. He shows it over Capital City Airport. He shows it with call sign 72044. It's a UH-72 Alpha Airbus. He shows some stuff with no call signs. He doesn't really show a whole lot, to be honest with you. Then he shows he shows this same picture. He must have got it off Wikipedia. So I don't know what that was about. He says Tuesday, aka not a weekend, Kentucky National Guard in Georgia. I don't know where Derek got these rules at, but just because the slogan for National Guard is 1 weekend a month, 1 week or 2 weeks a year, doesn't mean that they can only do stuff on the weekends. Plenty of National Guard units will have like for a weird circumstance, or they got to do something that's only open during business hours, or blah, 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 national emergency, training with other units, going to qualify somewhere, blah, whatever. They'll have like a Thursday, Friday drill, Tuesday, Wednesday drill. So the first thing he says, Tuesday's not a weekend, and the Kentucky National Guard's in Georgia. As if that's some kind of gotcha. The National Guard, with permission, operates inside of other states all the time. If you're in the National Guard, when you go to annual training, AT is what they call it. Derek Johnson would have met a lot of these soldiers over at NTC, the National Training Center at Fort Irwin, when he was there. When you go to AT, annual training, you go for 2 weeks in the summer. You basically go live in barracks and train. like you're going, like you're preparing for war. Well, depending on what your MOS is, but if you're combat, which is what most people think about when they think about the military, you go train like you're going to war. You're never going to be in your own state. You're hardly ever going to be in your own state because all the training facilities are in different places. That's what's good about it. You go to a different training facility like every summer. You go somewhere. Sometimes you'll go to fucking Egypt and train for 2 weeks. Sometimes they'll go to Romania and train for 2 weeks. With agreements from the other states, with permission, the Air National Guard is very rarely in their own state. They fly all over the fucking place with permission. They don't need to be on federal active duty. They're not allowed to leave their state. All that's not true. He's made all that up. My nephew is deployed to Kosovo and Iraq, National Guard, not only weekends. Yeah, we've talked about the National Guard's role in the current military operation. Lots of people deploy with the National Guard. Zero state emergencies. It's UH-72 Lakota. Federal Continuity Directives 1 and 2, plus February 2018, January 2021, July 2021. Department of Homeland Security and FEMA guidebooks that support those clearly outline all three branches of the government and continuity of government when time only moves forward, which means government does too. So why do we need guidebooks on how Congress, courts, and executive branches are under the continuity of government? That's not true. It's not a book declaring, hey, this is how we are now because we're under a continuity of government. It's a book declaring if something happens and we've got to go to continuity of government, here's how we're going to be. That's the guidebook. Clearly explains why the United States Supreme Court clarified in Military Justice Act of 2016. By the way, you guys know Chris Sanders, Kettleheads Barbecue, or sometimes he'll be in here, and Chris Sandor, I think's his name. He runs a barbecue channel. I've been trying to get him to put together a rub. And if he'll put together the rub and I'll help him with it or whatever, we could sell it on my website. It's almost time to start grilling and stuff. I just talked to him about it the other day. I said we should put together a rub, and you can call it, name it, whatever. I'll slap my logo on the back of it, and we'll throw it. There he is in the chat. We'll throw it on the website and sell it. It's almost time to break that shit out, ain't it? To be fair, I'm not just calling him out. That might be a lot of work for him to do. I don't know. That might be like a ton of work, and he's like, oh, shit. Now he's put me on the spot. I'm just saying, I think it would be cool if it's not too much of a hassle. I don't know about it. I've never done it before. Clearly explains why the United States Supreme Court clarified the Military Justice Act 2016 before the courts went under a cog. These are all just his assumptions. There's like 30 of them. I'm not reading them all. Actually, there's more than that. There's 2 pages of them. He shares this video for us. And what does it say? Here we go. I'll show it to you.
There's a power in what you do.
It says at this point the question. What did the post say? I thought it said wheels down something. At this point, the question truly is, how dumb do they think you are? How dumb are many Americans? I don't know. I'm looking up the story right here. I'm looking up this story so I don't misquote it. I know she came back on a C-17, but that's like a private jet there. It says, at this point, the question truly is, how dumb do they think you are? It was just that little 10-second clip. Or how dumb are many Americans? Feel free to shoot the messenger. I like how Derek always throws himself on the sword. Like, feel free to shoot the messenger. Except when you start shooting, he's the first one to start screaming and shit. He's the first one to start freaking out. I'm just a messenger. Don't shoot the... But he says, feel free to shoot the messenger. Or you can call me out. You can talk all the shit about me you want. You can do this. You can do that. You can do the other. But then when you start shooting, metaphorically, he's like, whoa, I'm a veteran. I got a clean record. I did this. I did that. Whatever. Feel free to shoot the messenger. The uniform is sacred, and there's multiple thousands of reasons in memorial graves to use harsh language 100%. The vice president does not salute. A guy in a regular suit saluting a service guy with a full beard. With full beard, service guy is not an issue. Derek Johnson knows this too. There's tons of people, depending on religion, depending on medical conditions, that have waivers, right? To have a beard. A service guy in a full beard. The VP walking out alone with no Secret Service or entourage. People from a private plane. Those staged that the two at the closest salute didn't render theirs, but the furthest did. The two at the closest salute didn't render theirs, but the furthest did. Many. Okay. And any American who makes an excuse for this being real and protocol should be ashamed. I don't know about protocol, but I don't think that's ever our that's not our concern, right? Like, okay, if a military member on the this was in Chattanooga, damn. If a military member is on national TV or in front of their commander or sergeant major or some shit, and they fuck up, like they do the wrong thing, they don't salute, they don't do this, it's they're not standing at the right position, when they're not ready, they're not in their position, they're acting up, acting goofy, whatever. That's for the command to handle. I don't think that we're ever concerned with what's going on here, but I will show you. So this guy's an airman, and it looks like he has a profile. It looks like he has a profile for a beard there.
Because I'm a dick.
And it says, oh shit, Christina bought you 10 six-packs. Not the boys a couple McFlurries from Aunt Pebbles. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. It might have said get the boys a couple McFlurries. Thank you for that. I appreciate the donation and the support. You guys are amazing. Me and Mariah were just talking the other day, and I thought, man, you remember when I couldn't even get people to watch me, much less to think that someone would send me money to like pay for my office and shit. Like if I was still at home, if we still had the house and wouldn't have, lost in the contract dispute, that would be one thing. But now we've got an office and bills and stuff. I can't fit in the camper. I tried to stream from the camper. I don't know if you guys remember. And then I was streaming from a damn my dad's van for a long ass time. I don't know if you guys remember that, but you guys support the show. You guys keep it going. So thank you very much for that. It's very generous of you. It says, get the boys a couple McFlurries from Aunt Pebbles. Thank you very much, Christina. I appreciate it. Here's the story that goes along with that video that Derek was sharing. It says Nashville, Tennessee, AP. This was from April 7th. Vice President Kamala Harris made a last-minute trip Friday to Tennessee where she called for tougher firearms laws and criticized the Republican-controlled state house.
This was over everything that happened in Nashville,
which a day earlier expelled two black Democratic lawmakers for their role in a protest calling for more gun control following a school shooting in Nashville. Harris received wild applause and several standing ovations as she told a crowd at Nashville's historically black Fisk University that so-called Tennessee 3 ousted reps Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and a third Democrat, Gloria Johnson, who avoided expulsion by a single vote, were being, in her words, silenced and stifled for standing up for the lives of school children.
Let's understand by the underlying issue is about fighting for the safety of children, Harris said. It's been years now
where they are taught to read, write, and hide in the closet and be quiet if there's a mass shooter at their school. Where are children, our children, who have God's capacity to learn and lead, who go to school in fear? She called for a background check, red flag laws, restrictions, let's not false choice. Harris met privately with Jones, Pearson, Johnson, as well as other elected officials. I was wondering if you're going to say anything about her plane in here. I don't care about her gun control. I'm pro 2A, about as pro as you can get. Like to young people advocating for tougher gun control laws. Ahead of the event, Students and others were lined up down the block hoping to enter the school's memorial chapel. Inside, several young black women wore sweaters with the initials for Alpha Kappa Alpha, a black sorority that Harris belonged to. It's exciting to see some of my organization from doing great and amazing things, said one of them, Jasmine Thrash. Nashville Metro Councilman Zulfat Suara addressed the crowd before Harris, saying the expulsions tell us exactly what we need to know about how the state views young black men standing up for what they believe, evoking the city's civil rights, destroying, she said, civil rights history, she said. Just like John Lewis and Diane Nash did many years ago, we too shall resist. Pearson Johnson Jones packed the chapel. President Joe Biden has called their expulsion shocking, undemocratic, rather than debating gun control, Tennessee 3. The White House also said on Friday afternoon that Biden spoke with Jones, Pearson, Johnson via conference call, thanking them for their leadership and seeking to ban assault weapons, standing up for democratic values. The ousting of Jones and Pearson drew accusations of racism. Johnson, who is white, was allowed to continue to serve in the was a vote. So she made it by one vote, and they didn't. Republican leadership denied that race was a factor. GOP leaders said in Thursday's actions, used only a handful of times since the Civil War, were necessary to avoid setting precedent that lawmakers' disruptions of House proceedings through the protests would be tolerated. Republicans say, okay, it doesn't say anything about her. It says Vice President Kamala Harris leaves Nashville, Tennessee after speaking to Fisk University on Friday, April 7th. At the school, she met with Justin Pearson, Justin Jones, Gloria Johnson, Nashville. Jones and Pearson were expelled from the Tennessee House Representative the day before.
Johnson survived an effort to expel her. Okay. Kamala Harris, Fisk University. See if we can copy all that. Let's see if we get a story about this. Why was she on that plane, I guess, is the question that everybody wants to know. I'm sure this guy's got a profile. I'm not sure what the guy in the suit is, but we're about to find out. I want to know who. That's a private jet. I want to know who that is. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. What's this?
It tells you laws and orders, because we're a nation of law and order. Oh, all of a sudden. Oh, man, this guy. Look at this guy. Oh, and look at him. He's all upset today. Not upset. Shoot, I sleep like a baby every night.
Every night, he sleeps like a baby. Of course he does. Let's do this. Kamala Harris, Nashville, Tennessee. I'd like to know who owns that jet. Looks like a private jet. Arrived in Nashville on mystery private jet. Experts Harris may have used Tyler Perry's private jet to go to Tennessee. Sources are telling ISN Kamala Harris may have used Tyler Perry's private jet to go to Tennessee. If that's the case, then she broke all rules and needs to disclose it based on 5 U.S. Code 7350. Said the source on condition their name not be used. Surprised she had a chance to. Aren't the Harkles using it usually? Oh, no. It was oh no, it belongs to no. Okay. No, it's not Tyler Perry's jet. It is a U.S.
Bucker just gifted 3 subs.
Thank you for the gifted subs. Laws and orders. Thank you very much, Bucka. It is it's U.S. Air Force. It's a tel number 18-1947. And it is I wonder if they had a security concern, or maybe it's the airport there, the airport in Nashville. Anyways, this is a U.S. Air Force operated Gulfstream C-37 Bravo Gulfstream, operated by the U.S. Air Force. That explains the Air Force soldier there on profile with a beard. By the way, people in the military have beards. Not everybody, obviously, but it's really easy to go get a profile and say you can't shave because you get razor bumps, they get infected, blah blah blah. A lot of black people were able to get this. Apparently, it's like
Black people facial hair is like much worse than like Caucasian facial hair. And from that, they can get a profile to not shave. And if you have a profile to not shave, that basically means you can have a beard, right? If you have a profile to not shave, if the logic says if you're not shaving, then you can have a beard. You can also, there's also a different profile where it can just be scruffy. You don't have to be clean shaven, but you can't have a beard either. Playbook behind, somebody said Politico did an article on it. Easter Sunday funnies, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this. Playbook. Oh, shit. Okay. Easter Sunday funny. Saturday Night Live, blah, blah, blah. Trump's actual Easter cooking this morning.
clip.
Oh, shit. One of the mods, I know we got some new mods that are doing dono clips now. After you approve it, if you want to wait for like a natural pause or whatever, there's a delay, so it's kind of hard to do. So you can just play it whenever, as long as you check it and make sure it's good and you're vouching for it, because it will tell me if you fuck me. But you vouch for it, and then I'll grab it. Yeah, I've already got it. New this morning, President Bill Clinton op-ed, Dems divided. At issue whether Biden should simply defy judiciary. On side note, remark. Behind the scenes, on Friday morning, just after 7 a.m., Kamala Harris told her chief of staff, Lorraine Voles, that she wanted to go to Tennessee and show her support for two legislators who were expelled from the state house the previous evening for a mounting demonstration in favor of gun control on the chamber floor.
Because I'm
okay. Thank you for being consistent and reliable source of entertainment. Happy motherfucking Friday, bitches. Oh yeah, Will,
this
you
is
are.
Derek Johnson's methed out cousin Shaderick, here to tell you about my new song,
Shaderick.
Right Meth Right Now, live on all platforms.
Thank you very much. That was Right Meth Right Now by Shaderick, Derek Johnson's methed out cousin. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. That was what I was waiting on. It said also, oh, Will, you are an asshole. That was the last of Dyak Kratom. Happy motherfucking Friday, bitches. Oh, yeah, Will, you are an asshole. Thank you for the donations, both you guys, for the dono clip and for the buy me a coffee. I appreciate it. All right, so she surprised Lorraine Voles that she wanted to go to Tennessee and show her support for the two legislators who were expelled from the State House the previous evening for a mounting demonstration in favor of gun control. The idea for a visit wasn't exactly a prize. The VP had been checking in with senior staff as the situation heated up and asked them to keep her updated. But what was the surprise was the turnaround. Harris wanted to go that afternoon. Trips for the VP have complex logistical and security concerns that typically take days, if not weeks, to pull together, you would think. Even when, like, we never moved anybody like the president, but even when we moved high value assets for our side, like it would be in mission planning for weeks, which they have to plan in even though theirs is more complicated, they have to plan in days because they have to be able to force that through, and they've got unlimited resources. Ours would take weeks because we only had a certain number of guys and we had to do the same amount, and it didn't have to be super snappy at the drop of a hat. But it still takes a while to plan. They typically take days, if not weeks, to pull together. Harris was giving her staff hours. If you think of the speed in which the vote was taken to expel them, Harris felt sending a signal that we have their backs quickly was just as important. A senior aide to the VP tells the playbook, I don't think there could have been a stronger signal than to go immediately. Harris' decision set off a flurry of activity at the White House, where many staffers were looking forward to a relatively quiet Good Friday ahead of Easter weekend and hoping to work from home. First came the practical concerns like travel arrangements. Harris would end up taking the smallest plane that any of the four principals are able to actually use. So this is the smallest plane that any of the four principals are allowed to use. Joined only by her Secret Service detail and a small clutch of staffers. Everyone else would fly separately on a C-17. Then there was the question of what Harris was actually going to do when she arrived. Would she simply meet with people? Would she make a speech? What would she say? Around 11 a.m., Harris's staff came to her with an outline of a potential speech filled with grand ideas like democracy, the rule of law, per another aide to the VP. Harris listened but opted for something different and dictated what she wanted to say. She's very much like, make it plain. We need to explain to people clearly what happened here, and it's not necessarily lofty terms, but in ways they can understand, blah, blah, blah. Fortunately, the White House, they had someone they trust in Nashville, former Biden comms aide. TJ Ducklow is currently the chief of comms officer for the senior advisor to Nashville Mayor John Cooper. Leaning on the mayor's office, the White House was able to quickly secure a venue at Fisk University. Although some conservative commentators have criticized Harris for not meeting with the families affected by last month's shooting at Nashville's Covenant School, a White House aide tells Playbook that the families were invited and that they offered blessings but ultimately couldn't make it. Harris's 20-minute speech went off without a hitch. Opportunity to have someone come to the White House to speak to the issues. I was just trying to see if there's anything else about it. So she did. She flew in an Air Force aircraft. So Derek Johnson's just wrong again. Just because he doesn't know about, like, obviously we can look this stuff up. We can learn this stuff. But Derek Johnson needs to know it somehow inherently and it not make him question anything, or he's just going to call it out. Wrong. I was in the military. I know these things. He says, VP walking down the plane alone, blah, blah, blah. We saw all that. She had her Secret Service with her. They were already, if you look at that picture he shared, or the video he shared, what did I just closed the picture, didn't I? Hold on, history. I think it's this one. Right there is team members right there. Right, the car is probably right there. I think that might even be a bumper in the edge of that photo. I'm not positive, but she wasn't alone. She wasn't alone, obviously. Let me go back to, let's see, Derek Johnson. Let's see what he moved on to next, chat, before we get to this damn video. That's what I want to get into. He shares a post about an airman who needs to wear a beard for religious or medical reasons must to get a shaving waiver. Must to get a shaving waiver. Even the goddamn article he shared as proof, it says, while it liberalizes many regulations, it does not address the most requested change, the ability to wear beards. Right now, an airman who needs to wear a beard for religious or medical reasons must to get a shaving waiver. Must go to get a shaving waiver. Must try to get a shaving waiver. Must... I think the thing that they use, he's got it here, is follicultitis. Pseudo-follicultitis is what they call it, and it's basically like really bad ingrown hairs from shaving. They've never allowed beards. No one's saying they are allowing beards, but lots of people can get this profile, especially if you're of ethnic persuasion. Beards are not unauthorized unless for medical reasons. When authorized by a medical official, as authorized pursuant to religious accommodation, beard wear authorization for religious, blah, blah, blah. He shares beards again. Then he shares a picture of the guy. Like, he can't be in the military with a beard. Absolutely he can. Absolutely he can. Back in the day, you had to have, there you go. That's the same thing I was saying, or trying to say. Pseudo-follicultitis. Barbay. That's so it depends on how like laid back your unit is. Some guys can just say it and get it, right? Some guys can just be like, hey, especially if they're like a darker skin tone, because it affects those people more. But some people can just say it and get it. Others, it's not so easy. They'll make them jump through hoops and then still trying to treat them like pieces of shit for having the waiver. I've had a waiver in the military and been legitimately hurt, like a broken fucking bone, and still had people leaning on me like I was fucking, like, oh yeah, you broke dick motherfucker, when you go get out here and do some real training. But it depends. It depends on what your unit's like. He shares the Truth Through Law and Order tour, Who Holds the Football, featuring Derek Johnson. It's 802 Liberty Street, Morris, Illinois, on Friday the 21st. I guess that's today. That's where he's at right now. 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. He shares more planes. Let's just fly in America with no registration numbers, etc. Perfectly fine with the FAA. What? Depending on who. First of all,
you're trusting not what the FAA sees, but you're trusting a civilian app that piggybacks off what the FAA system is, okay? So, what would be a good example of this? Say you're watching the poll numbers on the news during an election. Say you're watching a poll numbers on the news during an election. And you say, when you're watching the news, let's say it pops up and it says 75 votes for so-and-so. And the next time you see it, it says 70 votes for so-and-so. And you're like, oh my God, what the fuck? The election should never be like this. Vote numbers should never go down. Blah, 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 blah. But it's not the votes that are going down. It's the agency that reported them to the news outlet that let it go down. Like maybe they misreported. Maybe somebody had a typo. Maybe someone hit a 5 instead of a 0. Maybe whatever. Votes don't go down. What you're looking at is either a mistake or an edited photo or whatever. But you wouldn't get mad at the voting machines because the voting machines are not the ones who put it on the news. Some middleman put that out there and said, here's the latest update. We update every 5 minutes or whatever. You made it to Division 10 or just one more there, mad face, and you'll have it. So that's like getting, he's looking at a civilian app, a civilian flight tracking app, and then saying, oh, I'm sure the FAA is good with this. Well, how do you even know that that's accurate? First of all, you just clicked on a plane. What if yours just didn't upload and there's a tail number? But there are flights where when they first turn off their transponder, they show blank before they blink out, unless you got persistency on. An 18th century device that allows researchers to read up to 8 open books at a time. I found something for people to read the documents on. So he shares a wheel that turns around that has 8 open books at a time. Yeah, Division 9 is what we're going for. And then I have to get 8 people to get 60 first capture points. I don't even know what that is because I haven't played it yet. He shares more planes. I'm just going to read the text from him. Nice Norwegian P-8 Poseidon sniffer. Nothing to see here. Okay. The most amount of military aircraft I've seen after 11 p.m. Central Standard Time in 2.5 years. I doubt it. Makes a lot of sense. A Wednesday 0 state emergencies, Utah National Guards in Idaho. UH-60 Blackhawk with call sign with the letter G and number. G and number, others running with E and R. EGR found in the Federal Continuity Directives Emergency Relocation Group. EGR is exhaust recirculation gases. Anyways, how does he know that these airplanes aren't being shipped? Like, let's say there's an air unit that has helicopters in Idaho, but the mechanic units are in Utah, or the vice versa. Flights. These people fly them in Utah, but the mechanics are in Idaho, and they shipped them up there to get their maintenance done for them. He doesn't. He just guesses and says, "Oh, they're out of their state. That must be wrong. Must be wrong. Obviously." Hell, they could even be fucking. And how does his flight tracker doesn't even say that it belongs to Utah National Guard? It just says United States military. Military, age 60, United States, 20. I guess he's looking up the owner in the owner database. But even then, maybe they haven't updated the owner. I'm sure the military doesn't stay right on top of all that paperwork and shit, nor does the app. And it says UH-60 Blackhawk with call sign, that letter G and number, others running with E and R, ERG found in the continuity directives. He meant EGR, EGR valve. Or perhaps President Donald J. Trump's directive and military order and federal executive orders laws to federalize 1 million reserves, 1 million reserve components to active duty in March 2020 via 50 U.S. Code 33, sections 15, blah, 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 makes him a wartime president, is current and active until March 2024 because the EO was for 24 consecutive months orders. So Derek Johnson, other than him saying that the shit was going to go down this summer at Gitmo,
He's basically preparing for Trump to win in 2024 and not say anything and then say, oh, see, I told you this guy. So this guy right here, he was president the whole time. You guys just didn't see it. You guys just didn't see it. He was, and now he can run again. So he was actually your president for 3 times. That's what he's getting ready to do. I think that's what he's getting. I mean, you tell me. What do you guys think? That's what I think he's about to do. Settings, reset Sammy, saving close. That's what I think he's about. If nothing happens and Trump runs in 2024, he's going to tell people that Trump was always the president. Trump was always the president, and nothing changed, and that nothing has changed, and that he's now going to serve his 3rd term in 2024. I bet. Anyways, back to the article. This all day, every day, multiple states, National Guard, jurisdictions. This is a blueprint via current. There's a blueprint via current and active military federal laws and orders, blah, 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 whatever. 2 Doomsday planes in the air at the same time. Yes. X marks the spot, and he drew a circle over Santiago de Cuba. There is no X there, but he drew a circle over it for some reason. He also drew a circle over Camanera. Camanera? I think that's how you say it. I don't know. And Gitmo. He drew one over Gitmo. He shares a post that's from Offutt Air Force Base. It says, real world, Offutt Air Force Base is currently on lockdown. Movement on base is restricted. Stay inside and lock and barricade doors if possible. More information will be released as it becomes available. Then it says, all clear, all clear, all clear. Normal activities can be resumed at this time. All clear, all clear, all clear. And what does he share with that? He shares a picture of a plane, a couple planes. It says, even though these aircraft are and have prepping for the big event that's outlined in the federal continuity directives, .gov sites, plus current and active military and federal laws and orders, this shows more and more closer to the EAS. So he says because these doomsday plans are up, this is showing more and more we're getting closer and closer to the emergency alert. P.S. The doomsday planes plane call home at Offutt Air Force Base. So you think when the emergency broadcast comes on, they're going to tell soldiers that they have to stay in their fucking home on post? You think they're going to make them stay at home on post? I'm not sure they're going to agree with you on that. Offutt is in Nebraska, right? I don't know. This wasn't written to keep you in line. It was written to keep them in line. It shows the Constitution. He shows a Civil War painting that says April 19, 1775, the shot heard around the world. This marked the outbreak of the armed conflict between the Kingdom of Great Britain and the Patriot militias from America's 13 colonies. The battles were fought on April 19, 1775 in Middlesex County, province of Massachusetts Bay, within the towns of Lexington, Concord, Lincoln, and Menotomy, present-day Arlington, and Cambridge. The reason we fight today, lead, follow, or get the heck out of the way. Blue and red checks does not equal intelligence and knowledge. So he's calling out people that are verified and this, that, and the other. Of course, because he's always fucking calling somebody out because he's retarded. He shares a picture of Willie Nelson. It says it's 419. Don't forget to put milk and cookies out for Willie Nelson tonight. Apparently that's his favorite 420 joke. Everything is epic timing. Eclipse taking place right now when CIC Trump posts this, and it's a True Social post. I am trying to get through this quick so we can watch the video. Hold on. It's a True Social post that Trump posts daring a fucking lunar eclipse. Are you kidding me?
Where's Hunter?
He's on the moon, baby. He's on the moon. I trust Intel, or I trust MonkeyWorks Intel of flights more than Derek's. Yeah, MonkeyWorks is pretty good at tracking planes. He does throw some bullshit in there sometimes, for sure. And he's not afraid to push a little QAnon narrative. At least back I quit watching him probably 8 months ago. And I quit watching him right after the Russian pipeline explosion when he's like, oh, look at these planes. They did it. But he was off by like 13 hours of when the explosion actually happened, reported by multiple independent people on the mainland heard it. It's not like they just told us when it happened. It was off by like 13 hours. It was crazy. He shares a post with two sloot-looking women, and it says, at Q School, this will be fun tomorrow night on Telegram as I talk to military and federal laws and orders, plus the federal continuity directives from the .gov and .mil websites of the blueprint, along with where we are present day with decodes and those from CIC Trump recent tweets. Come listen. And it is, let's see. Let's do Derek and two sloots. S-L-O-O-T-S. Sloots is how I'm spelling that, Twitch. That is not shaming. They are sloots, which is a word that I've come up for people that is not shaming in any way, shape, or form. Sloots. Where the hell did I just save that at? Uh-oh. Oh, somebody reached Division 9. Thank you very much, someone. I appreciate that. I saved it on the desktop. Well, that was dumb. Now I can open it. Hold on. I thought I saved it to downloads. I'll move it quickly. Derek into sleuths. Move to downloads. Here you go. So this is Derek and a couple sleuths, and that was the post that I just read about how it's hammer time, rapid fire on Q News. And it says, this will be fun tomorrow night on Telegram as I talk military and federal laws and orders, plus the federal continuity directives from .gov and mil sites of the blueprint, along with where we are present day with decodes of those from CIC Trump's recent videos. Come listen. Sunglass emote. American flag emote. All right, so just remember that. Those are the salutes. He says, Executive Order 13823 at work, error day. And he points a picture towards Santiago and a plane kind of headed that area. He says 2 at a time. So there's 2 planes that are flying, one up from Santiago, one down that way. Probably a troop rotation. That's usually how that works. What else do we have here? Sorry, just a second. I lost my place. Trying to read messages over here. I don't know. Wrong place, wrong time. That was a great show with Army veteran Alan and his wife Francine. The beginning of the true nobility comes when a man ceases to be interested in the judgment of men and becomes interested in the judgment of God. I'll be on tonight here at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time talking blueprints of military law and orders paired with federal continuity directives of federal law. This is the Q School TV. Paired with federal continuity directives and federal laws at the military aircraft movement that outlines the continuity of government and military operations, 100%. But nothing is happening. Only countries from the Law of War Manual, Abraham Accords, and other DJT peace deals. And again, 12:54 a.m., P8 Poseidon Maritime Patrol, Norway, executive orders, all in a blueprint via law and orders. Good rule of thumb, Air Force members are permitted to engage in low-profile activity as citizens. Okay, that's about good enough to move into here. So he shares a bunch of posts about what Air Force regulations are. Then he shares some more planes, double executive order, talking about planes going down. He shares a video of Trump. Says President Trump, we're going to win. We're going to take it back. The country has never been unified. And let's listen to this for a second.
And I say we no longer have a democracy. And I say we don't have free speech. That's an incredible form of not having free speech. They took him down. For what? Because he likes Trump?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's exactly what I've been saying. But we're going to win. Look, we're going to take it back. The country has never been more unified in the sense that they have to have change. I'll tell you, this election coming up, they go after me because I stick up for the people. If I didn't stick up for the people, they wouldn't. But they go after me because I'm protecting the people. This election coming up is going to be incredible. And I will say, I think 2016 was maybe the biggest thing that ever happened in politics in this country.
Ever.
2024 has a chance to be as big. I don't know if it can be bigger.
It's going to be big.
I think the win of 2024 will be much, much bigger than if it was a traditional, because you're going to be able to show how bad things were under their rule.
So there you go. Trump again announcing that he's basically nothing now and he's running in 2024. But why would Derek share those Air Force regulations? I don't know why. That should have already went off by now, shouldn't it have? Hold on. Let me check something over on Sammy. I reset it once, but I know it just threw out the warning, but it never did the actual thing. If it don't work tonight, I'll fix it tomorrow, but there we go. Maybe it'll work now. All right, I think we're good now. Maybe. All right, why did he share out those Air Force warnings? Well, I'm going to show you because he did that video with the two sleuths we were talking about earlier. They were there, and Derek, of course, was there. These two lovely women, they were there. Why are there, everything's so low quality? Have you guys ever noticed that? It's like Telegram shows, they don't give a fuck. They're like, nobody's zooming in on Telegram. It's too fucking small. It's too small. Nobody's zooming in over here. You kidding me? Anyways, so we have this. He did a show with them, and it's audio only, so there's no sense in us watching it, but we will listen to it. Let me grab it, and we'll go for it, guys. Hold on just a second. Well, it's a video. It is a video, but it's like there's just a steady, solid background. It would be stupid to play the video, if you know what I mean. And you won't believe what he decided would be a good idea to do in this video. Here we go. Scott McKay also goes by no more than 5 pixels rule in a 5 pixels rule in a picture. So honestly, out of the video, this is the only part of it that is the video part right here. This is it. Let me install this right quick. It shouldn't take but a second. I've backed out of this like 50 times, and I'm afraid that I'm missing shit now. An error opening file for the writing program files video land. Retry. Ignore. Oh my God, what is going on? Damn, it was a bunch of warnings, wasn't it? I hope I just didn't fuck that up. We'll see in a second. Let's see. Will it launch? Okay, it did launch. Let's play this video. This first part is literally the only part. I'll speed it up some. This is the only part that's a video. Then they just go to a static image. I'll leave it up on screen till they go to the static image. Then I'm putting my logos and shit up. Fuck them and their Q school.
The fake media tried to stop us from going to the White House, but I'm president and they're not.
Oh my God. I guess I can't play this Thunderstruck shit.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Mine is real.
It's good audio quality though, ain't it?
show with Melzy. You jumped in right near the
To you, Tim, and you can take it away. So input, Zena.
Here we go. Q school. Q school, baby.
Boom. All right, Edge. Adriana.
Hey, everybody. Hey, happy Willie Nelson Day. Thank you so much, Q School, for having us on here. Tim, you did an amazing job hosting that. Mel's, amazing segment. Kyle, awesome input. Zena, wonderful. Jenna and Ken, thank you so much for being there with Mel Z before the show. You guys are awesome. I love you all. But I wanted to introduce my good friend, Derek Johnson, to you all, and I wanted to introduce him to you, Tim, and you can take it away. So, Derek, meet my friend Tim from over here at Q School and just take it away with each other, guys.
Derek and Tim and Q School and everything.
Hey, Derek, thanks for coming on. Thank you very much from all of us here at Q School, the whole family, the whole team here, Derek. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. My partner, Kyle, Undercover White Hat, just finished up a show with Melzy. You jumped in right near the end. He's going to be sharing the screen, and if there's anything you need us to share on the screen, Derek, while you're filling in all of us on this amazing research.
It's all about quality here, guys. All about quality.
So much sitting on the edge of our seats and so anticipating what you have to say, sir. And again, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. God bless you for all that you do for this movement. So without any further ado, everybody put your hands together and don't be afraid to send the invites out. Get all your family and friends in here so they can listen to Derek Johnson. Derek, it's all yours, brother.
Well, first off, thank you for having me, and thank you, Age, for that. Thank you, everybody that puts your work in too, because it's like when I first started putting this stuff together, you can't have the full pieces until you have the full pieces. So it's like everything's a continuity. It always is. And so, at first I think everybody feels a level of maybe crazy or maybe this can't be true in a different way, because my whole life I'm a young 40. And even my young 40 years, I've heard people my dad's age. A shout out, my dad's in the room, so shout out to my dad who's in here. I see Age. Age was the one that fixed his profile. It says Derek dad, so it's not hard.
By the way, his dad also knows his line. He actually changed his story in front of his dad because he was going to be caught in a lie. So his dad knows some of this shit's going on.
And but shout out to my dad. He's an Air Force veteran from the '60s era, and I've heard people his age say,
I don't want to be the naive person who's like, oh, I could never, ever be bought off. I could be bought off. Most people, if you're really honest with yourself, I would say that 99.9999999% of us could be bought off. If someone come and said, hey, if you just keep telling this lie, for the next 6 months, you'll be a billionaire or whatever, right? So most people have a number. And when you hit that number, they're willing to overlook just about anything, including people you probably respect, like your dad or community leaders or politicians or your pastor or whoever. It's part of it. It's part of it.
oh, well, that's out of my pay grade, or Congress gets paid to do that. And, that's what got us here. And so we're trying to, it's like we're having to, Lewis Herms is someone I go on a lot with, and I went on a tour with him back in September, and he's got this perfect analogy of a frog jumping in a pot of water because it knows water is in its habitat, but then it's like it gets in this pot, but doesn't realize it's a boiling pot.
So you think Lewis Herms invented the analogy of slowly raising the temperature in a pot of water and the frog doesn't know it's boiling? You think Lewis Herms did that?
And the boiler was turned on, and through the years, it slowly got hotter and hotter and hotter to realize that frog realizes, holy crap, I'm in a boiling pot of water. But what we're doing now is trying.
It doesn't take years. It takes about 3 or 4 minutes, especially if you have natural gas.
We've taken control of the pot, but we've had to slowly turn the pot back down because there's so much information, there's so much filth, there's so much corruption that these congressmen have done for years. And so many people don't realize when Donald Trump, and I don't even like calling him that because it's disrespectful, he's acting commander-in-chief by military, not conspiracies, by laws. All right, so commander.
You guys know Derek claims now that Trump's never been president, even in 2016. That he couldn't have been president because his military operation. Instead, he was commander-in-chief then, too, but not president.
He thinks those are two separate and independent offices.
Trump, when he says we have it all, we've caught them all. That's not some rah-rah pep rally bullcrap speech that you give before you tear out the paper on a Friday night football game. We have it all. We've caught them all. They've shown this to everybody.
The more, that was my bad. The more these grifters keep relating to, he said this, and there's no other way to interpret that we have them all, then we have them all. And this is the more when this doesn't happen, the more people that followed you are going to hate Trump. The more Derek Johnson says, it's honestly, they're doing a great disservice. If they're trying to get Donald Trump reelected, they're doing a horrible job. If they're trying to get Republicans to vote, they're doing a horrible job. If they're trying to get people involved in the local community, they're doing a horrible fucking job. The more they keep saying, this is not a pep talk. This is not a rah speech. He said we have it all, and that means he has it all, and he's secretly doing this. When that doesn't come to pass, you're doing a disservice to all these people around you.
To everybody. And what I'm going to address a little bit tonight is to just say, people, just, where we are has nothing to do with how you want to live your life. I make cases both ways that, hey, in order to be whatever you think you are, whatever it is you think you are.
I think we skipped ahead too far.
He's an Air Force veteran from the 60s era. And I've heard
people right there is where his dad.
Oh, well, that's out of my pay grade, or Congress gets paid to do that. And, that's what got us here. And so we're trying to, it's like we're having to, Lewis Herms is someone I go on a lot with, and I went on a tour with him back in September, and he's got this perfect analogy of a frog jumping in a pot of water because it knows water is in its habitat, but then it's like it gets in this pot, but doesn't realize it's a boiling pot. And then the boiler was turned on, and through the years, it slowly got hotter and hotter and hotter to realize that frog realizes, holy crap, I'm in a boiling pot of water. But what we're doing now is we've taken control of the pot, but we've had to slowly turn the pot back down because there's so much information, there's so much filth, there's so much corruption that these congressmen have done for years. And so many people don't realize when Donald Trump, and I don't even like calling him that because it's disrespectful, he's acting commander-in-chief by military laws, not conspiracies, by laws. All right, so Commander-in-Chief Trump, when he says we have it all, we've caught them all. That's not some rah-rah pep rally bullcrap speech that you give before you tear out the paper on a Friday night football game. We have it all, we've caught them all. They've shown this to everybody. And what I'm going to address a little bit tonight is to just say, people, just where we are has nothing to do with how you want to live your life. I make cases both ways that, hey, in order to be whatever you think you are, whatever it is you think you are, you have to have people like me who know why our military was founded, who know the foundation of this nation via the Constitution, what it was actually established for. Because when you have that mindset, you can be the gayest gay atheist in the world as long as you're not harming somebody or hurting somebody or cramming it down people's throats. As long as you're sitting at your house, you can be the biggest patriot in the world by living your life. And so we've had to unravel so much stuff, and so many people need to understand that all this is military laws, military orders, acts, statutes, military regulations, not the kind of regulations that the congressmen have talked about for years. We're talking about military regulations that military personnel abide by. Like anybody, I saw an Army veteran in here a while ago. I scrolled through the list. My dad's Air Force veteran. Anybody who's ever been in the military knows you go by military laws and military orders, a chain of command. And you don't serve one president. You serve your country and the Constitution. Now, you can love the president if the president goes by the Constitution and all those things. Absolutely.
Okay.
Our founders made it to where if Congress ain't doing it,
perfect,
and the president ain't, the military can step in. Who's the military? We're not talking about some private first class, your cousin who's a private first class out at Fort Bend in Georgia. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the generals. And so many people need to understand when the federal government isn't in control, guess who is? We have two powers in this country. Federal government, military. All right, so when the federal government ain't in control, guess who is? Military. So that's why you have to understand. And you don't have to be in the military. You don't have to be a veteran. You don't have to have a law degree. You don't have to have certificates, stripes, medals, awards, years of experience, years of service. You just have to have a freaking brain, and you got to be willing to use it.
Don't have to have any of those things.
A few weeks ago, he said, "My name is
Derek Johnson."
I don't like to read.
Derek Johnson barely motherfucking got through 2 years in the military. So that's why you don't need 20 years. If he had 20 years, he'd say, hell, you had to serve as long as I did to understand what I understand. Because that's true in any job. When I was on the road I pick up stuff really quick. I learn really quickly. I don't think there's such thing really as a photographic memory, but I have something kind of close to it. I pick up things really easily. I'm good at working with my hands and in my head, so I'm good at math or whatever. So when I went out to start working on jet engines, basically turbines, powerhouse turbines, I had no idea. I'd never seen one. Right? I understood how jet works by theory, but I'd never seen one. And within like, I don't know, less than a year, I was a lead man on a crew, okay, right below the foreman. And I've always been able to do that and shit. And I'm typically pretty good at it when my mind's not crazy. That's why I miss working so much. I was really proud of what I did and the work that I did and the stuff that I was able to complete. But sob story aside, there is no replacement for just time in service sometimes, okay? So, yeah, I made lead man. I was good at what I did. I was good with the crew. I was good with the foreman. I did my thing. Sometimes we would cut, not often. Most of these machines were cookie cutter. Every machine was the same. Do the same thing here, the same thing there. That's why I excelled at it. I could just memorize what we were doing. And I memorized torque specs on, 3,000 different fucking bolts and shit. Sometimes, though, we would get in a situation where it was out of the norm. Something was different. Something was strange. Something had changed. And typically, we would have some old man on the crew who was slow, didn't really get in a hurry, didn't do a whole lot of hard work, just minded his own time. Sometimes they would even just want to clean bolts. They wouldn't even want to work on the turbine. But they would say, I remember this job. I was here 6 years ago for a major, and we had to do this, this, and this. And boom. So if Derek Johnson had the time and service, he'd be telling other people they need the time and service. Because he doesn't have the time and service, now suddenly, you don't need 4 years in the military. You don't need it. Okay? You don't even need that.
But I appreciate your repetitive videos because every time you repeat this, I learn something new every time. And it's really that simple. It really is as simple, this little blueprint that I tell people, look, you got to look at laws and orders. Our nation is built on laws and orders and a constitution. And those
this goofy fuck.
Constitution. All the propaganda and all that crap, all this, the propaganda, the politics, the drama, all this stuff that people watch is just stuff and noise, stuff and noise. You want to know what's going on? You want to know all these aircraft in the sky and it's unusual and they're flying at all different times of the day and the night?
What the fuck? Who the fuck are you trying to talk to, Anita? Do you, Anita, my attention?
And you've never heard them, especially if you're in a rural area like New Mexico and some of the places they're really flying over. You want to know why? There's a formula to it. And it's real simple. When Donald Trump says we're a nation of laws and orders, our nation don't run off of farts, giggles, and fairy dust. It don't. Sorry if you think so. You're in for a rude awakening if you think so. So it's a formula to it.
I had just figured out the recipe for it. Farts, giggles, and fairy dust. It was a pinch of each. I was trying to put 2 pinches of farts in right off the bat. That was wrong. It is 1 pinch of each. And now what? Feel like an idiot.
And it's real simple. And it's the little nuggets you start with first. Don't try to bite off more than you can chew. My dad used to say that all the time. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Like, just start simple.
Did you choke a lot as a kid?
When you live on a farm or anything of that nature, you don't try to look too much into the
laws and orders.
Oh man, I gotta plow this big old field. Well, if you just stay on the little row you're on and stop looking at the big old field, pretty soon you'll be halfway through it and you'll, that wasn't as bad. I'm halfway through it. So if you'll just simplify your life. And President Trump, he laid out these optics, as we call, and comms all along the way. And he said some things that for people like me, I grew up listening to my elders. I listened to my dad. I was scared of my dad. First off, he knows that. He's probably laughing, but I was scared of him because he was a lot older and he has a deep voice. And anybody who's in here is old enough to remember Bear Bryant, the old coach at Alabama, legendary coach. My dad's voice sounds like Bear Bryant, so he didn't have to whip me when I was a kid to get my attention. He could just say what he said, and I knew he meant business. All right, so same thing. So when you apply with elders, they know stuff because they lived through some stuff. My grandfathers, one of them lied about his age to get in the military. Lied about his age to join during World War II.
Hey, we would check to see if he grew up on a farm. I don't know if his brother spoke about that or not. I think his brother when he first started speaking about it was, he talked about how Derek Johnson stole his story, that it was the brother's uncle who was friends with Merle Haggard, and it was a slightly different story. And then the next thing he talks about was like he was goofy in high school, blah, 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 awkward, strange. He wanted to join the military just to pay off college or just to pay for college.
That was the only reason, even though he's the guy. You didn't join for the right reasons. I did. I joined just because I got a fucking red, white, and blue boner.
I mean, think about the generations we have now. You have to do a $60,000 signing bonus, and you can't tell that person, hey, there's no such thing.
There you go again.
Signing bonus. They don't hand you a check when you sign that contract to go in the military. They don't hand you a check. The other thing you don't do, it ain't like you're some private first class that has a bigger fat paycheck than your buddy who's a private first class.
I don't know what he's talking about, but they technically don't hand you a check. The military does everything by direct deposit, and if you don't have a direct deposit account, they set you one up with a bank that'll be on your post where you're at basic. But yes, they do hand you a lump sum. When you get a sign-on bonus, a lot of times it's 50% up front. So let's say you got $60,000. They'll give you 30 up front within your first couple of weeks after you ship. And then the other 30 will come on anniversaries, like your first year anniversary, second year anniversary, 30, they'll split it for your contract. But yeah, you do get half up front. Or most people do. So when he says they don't hand you a check, yeah, technically they don't hand you a gigantic Publishers Clearinghouse check. But you're also making it sound like it's not a lump sum, and it is. A portion of it is.
It don't work that way. And the military is not an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5. They're going to get it out of you. So congrats on your signing bonus that you're never going to see. It's all a crock of crap. And that's
you're never going to see. Oh, did you not get yours, Derek? Well, they paid for your college, though, so there you go.
Crap that's led our people and especially our younger generations of soldiers down the drain, because Eisenhower talked about it January 17, 1961. And when you apply, I'm going to do that in a minute. When you apply where Eisenhower was sitting and
loose change in yoo-hoos.
Time frame in which he said that, it'll make total sense for those out there who want to simplify this and see this formula. But these younger generations, and even generations like mine, have everything out of whack. And it's a lot because they didn't listen to their elders, as the Bible instructs. All right, a lot of our generations put elders off in a nursing home and just forget about them, as if they don't know anything. And that's been part of the problem. Now, we've had a lot of these older generations, though, that get in Congress for too long. And I'm going to apply that in a minute, too, and show you where everything got really super corrupt that no one's ever really thought about, that Donald Trump is addressing. This will be changed. It's all going to be changed. It's all going to go back to what the Constitution and the nation should have looked like a long time ago. But I always start out with military history, right? So my grandfathers, the reason why I brought them up is my grandfather, he always talked about these 200 generals. There were 200 generals, not collectively, but separately, all at different time periods, said, never again will we let happen to this country what happened under JFK. If we get a chance to take it over, we're going to throw a coup d'etat, and we're going to take it over and
Sure they did.
What many people don't understand is when you hear people through the years talk about, oh, it's out of my pay grade, and oh, that's Congress's job. That is the problem. The Declaration of Independence specifically gives us the authority. It said it's their right and it's their duty to overthrow such government.
Go get it, brother. Go get it. You doing it? You leading them? You doing this?
Insurrection, which also shows what was happening right after our foundation. From the very get-go, we already had people trying to change our foundation from the start. That's why America is an idea on a piece of paper in the Smithsonian. It don't fight for itself. People do. And that's why the term we the people has become so watered down. And then people want to say, oh, Derek Johnson has an anger issue. No, I have a passion issue. I have a passion issue, and I also have a problem with people who don't.
I think it's an anger issue.
Don't understand. If you want to be.
We're going to hear his anger issue in a second.
You need people like me who believe like I do, because I will fight for you to have your rights. But
there weren't 200 generals that come out and did this. This is like this is probably more like kind of like a wives' tale or whatever that spread around. We'll never let this happen again. We'll take it over. That was the last straw, blah, blah, blah. There was no official 200 generals ever did anything that anybody would be able to even know this unless they literally knew all 200 generals. And what are the chances of that?
You're not going to cram your crap down everybody's throat.
It's not like they all joined a Facebook group, signed a document or some shit.
There's a fine hairline difference. But you go back to your foundation. The military was founded first in our nation. Those founders, those elder men, it wasn't like they were a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds who just wanted to pat their chest and fight a war. They were men, middle-aged to older men, manly men, men's.
It depends on who you're talking about. There were some younger members, obviously. There was all age groups. It was a war broke out. Just like currently when a war breaks out, we have people of all age groups, typically skewing now younger and poorer, but there's older people as well.
Men, right? So they do what? You don't think they didn't have.
You think you know too much. I know a lot more than Derek Johnson does, I'll tell you that much.
Wars before that? We know they do. They had plenty of wars before the Revolutionary War.
Especially if we're talking about the military.
We had the Magna Carta. We had a lot of different types of documents that they tried to establish. It didn't work. So they got tired of it. All right, so like yesterday, the shot heard around the world, the first shot fired in the Revolutionary War, Lexington Concord. Yesterday was the day, Patriots Day, right?
Look out.
1775. All right, think of the timeline. April 19th, 1775. The Army was established June the 14th.
What's that say? I thought it was a smidgen of giggles and skosh of farts. You got to be careful. You got to be careful.
1775. All right, then you had the very first 69 articles, what they call war articles back then, which would actually...
That's how you make meth.
All right, that was June 30th, 1775. Then you had the Navy, October 13th, 1775. And then you had the Marines, November 10th, 1775. And then you had the very first flag, December the 3rd, 1775. See all that timeline there. Then the very first flag was sworn into Congress.
But none of this matters. None of it. I mean, it's awesome. We have an amazing history, the founding of our country, the fight for our freedom, the breaking from the first people to really break away from British colonialism. But none of this matters in today. Like he's going to be like, there was this is the way the laws went back then. What?
June 14th, 1777 on the Army.
There is 100% a time and place and way to dispute and challenge and throw all the evidence out and be heard and yell and stomp your feet and cry and kick and scream over an election. And that time ends once the electors cast their ballots.
His birthday, no coincidence. So when you apply all that, but our military was founded and established to prevent wars, not start them. So this is why it's very important. I tell people all the time, there's three things that wars are started for: power, resources, and territory. Power, resources, territory. What else do we have on earth? All right, so when you go back, look at where our founders were. So then what happened next? So they declared independence 7 years before the war ended. When you read that Declaration of Independence, it reads, it can work 500 years ago, it can work 500 years into the future. It's a broad spectrum, and it works for every demographic, every different year, every different century. It's like the Constitution. It's always a living and breathing form. But here's our founders declaring independence 7 years before the war ended. Read it. Go read it and see how powerful it is, and think, man, they declared this 7 years before. They declared this and then went out to battlefields and fought. All right, then the Articles of Confederation came. All right, then they redrafted those, and it became the Constitution 1787, and then 1789 is when it went into play. And then 14 years later, we have a founding father going into a courtroom having to explain what a law is. Marbury versus Madison, 1803. So just 14 years later, just a little over a decade later, we got someone having to go and say, hey, hello, any statute that doesn't bear the appearance of a law that backs the Constitution, it's null and void. It's repugnant. It's nada. It means nothing. All right, so it started early on. Then you have the Insurrection Act came 1807. There's no such thing as an insurrection.
So here's what's up. Marbury versus Madison is often quoted in not only by these idiots, but also by you think you know so much. Anyways, it's like quoted by First Amendment auditors and shit. Here's what Marbury versus Madison is. It is William Marbury versus I think it's James Madison. So Thomas Jefferson defeated John Adams in 1800 presidential election. Before Jefferson took office, Adams and Congress passed something called the Judiciary Act of 1801, which created new courts. It added judges and gave the president more control over the appointment of judges. The act was an attempt by Adams and his party he was with to just kind of frustrate Thomas Jefferson, okay, as he was coming in. So he appointed 16 new circuit judges and 42 new justices of the peace on his way out. 16 new judges, and we didn't have many at this time. He appointed 16 new judges and 42 justices of the peace on his way out. The appointments were approved by the Senate, but they would not be valid until their commissions were delivered by the Secretary of State. And at the time, it was like on horseback. So they had to, they were technically approved by the Senate. Their commissions were approved. They were appointed, but they needed their commission paperwork from the Secretary of State. William Marbury was appointed Justice of the Peace for D.C., the District of Columbia. But his commission was not yet delivered to him. He didn't have his paperwork on him. He petitioned the Supreme Court, so Marbury, who was this new Justice of the Peace in D.C., without his paperwork, without his commission. He had been appointed. The president appointed him. That appointment was upheld by the Congress, but he didn't have his paperwork, his commissioning paperwork on it. So he petitioned the Supreme Court to compel the new Secretary of State in the new administration, which would have been James Madison at the time, under Thomas Jefferson, to deliver the documents to him. Marbury, joined by 3 other similarly situated appointees, petitioned for a writ of mandamus compelling the delivery of their commissions. Okay? Now, the questions that were raised in this, do the plaintiffs have a right to receive their commissions? So should they receive their commissions? Can they sue to get their commissions? And does the Supreme Court have the authority to order the delivery of the commissions? So do they deserve these commissions? If can they sue to get these commissions? If they do deserve them, can they sue to get them? And can the Supreme Court tell somebody, do we have the authority to tell somebody, hey, you got to take these guys their commissions? The court found that Madison's refusal to deliver the commission was illegal. But it did not order Madison to hand over Marbury's commission via writ of mandamus. Instead, the court held that the provision of the Judiciary Act of 1789 enabling Marbury to bring his claim to the Supreme Court was itself unconstitutional, since it purported to extend the court's original jurisdiction beyond which Article 3, Section 2 established. So basically they said, hey, he's supposed to get this commission, but just bringing this in front of us about a commissioning of a justice of the peace bullshit is actually unconstitutional. It's actually unconstitutional. And while that's unconstitutional is because this is what we do as a Supreme Court. I bet you're wrong. That's the wrong version of your. That's possessive. So I bet Will's all are praying this guy is wrong with a capital W. I was just praying that you would speak in non-broken English. So we have that, Carol Westwood. Marshall expanded the Supreme Court itself was unconstitutional since it took the court's original jurisdiction beyond Article 3, Section 2 established. Marshall explained that a writ of mandamus was the proper way to seek a remedy, but concluded that the court could not issue it. Marshall reasoned that the Judiciary Act of 1789 conflicted with the Constitution. Congress did not have the power to modify the Constitution through regular legislation because the Supremacy Clause places the Constitution before laws. Constitution comes first and then laws. In so holding, Marshall established the principle of judicious review, which is the power to declare a law unconstitutional. It is the power. So what it established was the power of the Supreme Court. It's the first time they've ever done it, and this is all they do. This is all the Supreme Court does now. Constitutional, unconstitutional. It gave them the power to declare a law unconstitutional. On February 24th, 1803, the Supreme Court issued an unanimous 4-0 decision against Marbury. The court's opinion was written by Chief Justice John Marshall, who structured the court's opinion around the series of 3 questions and questions it answered in turn. First, did Marbury have the right to his commission? Second, if he had the right to his commission, was there a legal remedy for him to obtain it? Third, if there were such a remedy, could the Supreme Court legally issue it? Marbury's right to his commission. The court began by determining that Marbury had a legal right to the commission. Marshall reasoned that all the appropriate procedures were followed. The commission had been properly signed and sealed. Madison had argued that the commission were void if not delivered, but the court disagreed, saying that the delivery of the commission was merely a custom, not essential element of the commission itself. Quote, the president's signature is a warrant for affixing the Great Seal to the commission, and the Great Seal is only to be affixed to an instrument which is complete. The transmission of the commission is practice directed by convenience, not by law. It cannot therefore be necessary to constitute the appointment which must precede it and which is the mere act of the president. The court said that because Marbury's commission was valid, Madison's withholding it was violative of a vested legal right on Marbury's part. Legal remedy. Turning to the second question, the court said that the law provided Marbury a remedy for Madison's unlawful withholding of his commission. Marshall wrote that it is a general and indisputable rule, but when there is a legal right, there is also a legal remedy by suit or action. At law, whenever the right is invaded, the rule derives from the ancient Roman legal maxim, ubis jus ibi remedium, where there is a legal right, there is a legal remedy, which was well established in the English common law. In what the American legal scholar Amar called one of the most important inspiring passages of the opinion, Marshall wrote, the very essence of civil liberty certainly consists in the right of every individual to claim the protection of the laws whenever he receives an injury. So if there's a right, then there has to be some type of remedy for it. If there's a right that can be taken away from you, that someone can screw you over with, there has to be a remedy for it. The court then to confirm that the writ of mandamus, a type of court document that commands a government official to perform an act of their official duties legally require them to perform, was a proper remedy for the situation. But this raised issues whether the court, which was part of the judicial branch of the government, had the power to command Madison, who was a Secretary of State, was part of the executive branch of the government. The court held that so long the remedy involved a mandatory duty to a specific person and not a political matter left to discretion, the courts could provide that legal remedy. Borrowing a phrase of John Adams had drafted in 1779 of the Massachusetts state constitution, Marshall wrote, the government of the United States has been emphatically termed a government of laws and not of men. A government of laws and not of men. Jurisdiction. This brought Marshall to the third question. Did the Supreme Court have proper jurisdiction over the case? That would allow it to legally issue the writ of mandamus. The answer depended entirely on how the court interpreted the text of the Judiciary Act of 1789. Congress had passed the Judiciary Act to establish the American federal court system. Since the U.S. Constitution only mandates a Supreme Court and leaves the rest of the U.S. federal judicial power to reside in such inferior courts as the Congress may, from time to time, ordain and establish. Section 13 of the Judiciary Act sets out the Supreme Court's original and appellate jurisdictions. Quote, and be it further enacted, the Supreme Court shall have the exclusive jurisdiction over all cases of a civil nature where the state is a party, and suits or proceedings against ambassador or of other public ministers. The Supreme Court shall also have the appellate jurisdiction from the circuit courts and courts of the several states. In the cases herein, after specifically provided for, and shall have power to issue writ of mandamus in cases warranted by the principles and usages of law to any of the courts appointed or persons holding office under the authority of the United States. So our court system and our federal court system, state court systems, and our Supreme Court are technically separate. The Supreme Court was by and large, in whole, made by the Constitution, and they work with the Constitution. Every other court below that was made by an act of Congress, and they are separate entities, even though that's where you end up if you appeal enough. Marbury had argued that the language of the Section 13 of the Judiciary Act gave the Supreme Court the authority to issue writ of mandamus when hearing cases under original jurisdiction, not just appellate jurisdiction. As Marshall explains in the opinion, original jurisdiction gives the court the power to be the first to hear and decide a case. Appellate jurisdiction gives the court the power to hear an appeal from a lower court's decision and to revise and correct the previous decision. Although the language of on the power to issue writs of mandamus appears after Section 13 sentence on appellate jurisdiction, rather than with the earlier sentences on original jurisdiction, a semicolon separates it from the clause on appellate jurisdiction. The section does not make clear whether the mandamus clause was intended to be read as part of the appellate clause or on its own. In the opinion, Marshall quoted only the end of the section, and the law's wording can plausibly be read either way. In the end, the court agreed with Marbury and interpreted Section 13 of the Judiciary Act to have authorized the court to exercise original jurisdiction over cases involving disputes over writ of mandamus. But, as Marshall pointed out, this meant that the Judiciary Act contradicted Article 2 or Article 3 of the Constitution, which established the judicial branch of U.S. government. Article 3 defines the Supreme Court jurisdiction as follows: in all cases affecting ambassadors and other public ministers or councils, and those in which the state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. Article 3 says that the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction over the case of the U.S. state, is a party to the lawsuit where the lawsuit involves a foreign dignitaries. Neither of these categories covered Marbury's lawsuit, which was a dispute over writ of mandamus over his Justice of the Peace Commission. So according to the Constitution, the court did not have original jurisdiction. So, oh shit, I didn't even know there was one. The Hero genocide was perpetrated in Africa by which of the following colonial nations? Belgium, Germany, France, or Britain? Sorry, I forgot that was running. So we got an ad going on right now, but we also got trivia. Vote in the poll on Twitch. Vote in the poll on Twitch. The Herero genocide was perpetrated in Africa by which of the following colonial nations? Belgium, Germany, France, or Britain? Belgium, Germany, France, or Britain? You can vote. There's about a minute left. Some of you guys are going to see ads over on... Some of you guys will probably see ads over on YouTube. But I think I got some music here we can play. There we go. Look out. This is so nobody misses anything during the ads. Just because you're not a Twitch sub. Bow, 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 now. Damn, there's nobody in chat, is there, right now? I don't know where everybody went. Was it because I was reading about, because I was reading about that shit? The Supreme Court? Germany or Britain? Last two, 12 seconds remaining. The answer is Germany. Chat was right. It was indeed Germany. Congratulations, chat. You got another one. Uh-oh, I was trying to start that over. It won't let me, will it? That'll be keyed up for next. Congratulations, chat. Good job. Now, some people got to see an ad. Everybody else is good. All right, finish this out. So basically what they were saying at the very end was that because this judicial act that was signed and the Constitution that was signed, one of them said you do have jurisdiction here. The law by the Senate said, oh, you have jurisdiction here. But the Constitution said, no, you don't. They can't contradict each other. That would be unconstitutional. So which one trumps the other? The Constitution. So they did a judicial review of the law, and they end up striking. Now, this poor guy was just trying to get his commission, ended up getting the whole fucking law struck down. Besides its legal issues, the case of Marbury Madison also created a difficult political dilemma for John Marshall, blah, blah, blah. Marshall solved both problems. First, he had the court rule that the Madison withholding of Marbury's commission was illegal, which pleased the Federalists. Second, however, the opinion he wrote was held that the court could not grant Marbury his requested writ of mandamus, which gave Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans the result they desired. But finally, in what the American legal scholar Lawrence Tribe calls an oft-told tale,
that remains awe-inspiring. Marshall had the court rule against Marbury in a way that maneuvered Marbury's simple petition for a writ of mandamus into a case that presented a question that went to the heart of the American constitutional law itself. The American political historian Robert McCloskey described. This case is a masterwork of indirection, a brilliant example of Marshall's capacity to sidestep danger when seeming to court it. The danger of a head-on clash with the Jeffersonians was averted by the denial of jurisdiction, but at the same time, the declaration that the commission was illegally withheld scotched any impression that the court condoned the administration's behavior. These negative maneuvers were artful achievements in their own right, but the touch of genius is evident when Marshall's new not context with having rescued a bad situation seizes the occasion, set forth the doctrine of judicial review. Judicial review. This is how we do judicial review. It is easy for us to see in retrospect that the occasion was golden, but only a judge of Marshall's discernment could have recognized it. So basically, the Marbury versus Madison is going to live on forever. But imagine being the guy who made that decision, that made such a great decision that it would lead on, that it would be here forever. It established judicial review in America and federal law. It did not invent or create it. It just established it and the procedure for it. British jurists had argued that English courts had the power to circumscribe Parliament. The idea became widely accepted in colonial America, especially in Marshall, Jefferson, and Madison's native Virginia, under the rationale that the American people were sovereign rather than the government, and so the courts should only implement legitimate laws. By the time the Constitutional Convention of 1787, American courts, independent power, duty, blah, 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 well established, Hamilton defended the concept in Federalist Papers number 78, considering blah, blah, blah. Marbury also established that the power of a judicial review covers actions by the executive branch, the president and his cabinet members. However, American courts' power of judicial review over executive branch actions only extends to matters in which the executive has a legal duty to act or refrain from acting, and does not extend to matters that are entirely within the president's discretion, such as whether to veto a bill or whom to appoint to office. The power has been the basis for many subsequent important Supreme Court decisions in American history, such as the 1974 decision, United States versus Nixon, in which the court held that President Richard Nixon had to comply with a subpoena to provide tapes of his conversations for use in criminal trial related to Watergate, and which ultimately led to Nixon's resignation. Although it is a potent check on the other branches of the U.S. government, federal courts rarely exercise the power of judicial review in early America history. After deciding Marbury in 1803, the Supreme Court did not strike down another federal law until 1857, 54 years later, when the court struck down the Missouri Compromise. It is in its now infamous decision, Dred Scott versus Sanford, a ruling that contributed to the outbreak of the American Civil War. All right, back to Derek Johnson. Thank you guys for voting over there, and thank you for coming back to chat. I think everybody kind of gets into a lull after a little bit, but back to Derek.
So you can see from the very early.
That's my fault, not yours.
A lot of people who are already.
I should be more entertaining.
Those guys fought and established for, and it's always been a fight, and it will always be a fight. And thank God we got people who God put in their positions, like Donald Trump and all these generals who are a lot older. They're where they are in life. I would, I'm not coveting them, but I would love to be in those positions because of the way my heart is. But God put me here dealing with all the trolls and the haters, but that's what we're there for. We're trying to wake the trolls and haters up. That's what you, the patriots out there, we're not here for each other. We are in a different way, but it's the trolls and the haters we got to get to right now. Those are the ones we have to go to and say, hey, it really has nothing.
Is there a song that says, I'm a Buddhist? Could somebody look that up? Is that a song, possibly? Anyways, back to the video. Thank you very much, PR You Betcha. Now I have to pimp myself out for at least one more to offset all the monetization. You just lost me. Thank you. Appreciate it. Fucking dick licker. Back to Derek Johnson.
To do with your lifestyle, but it actually has everything to do with it. And the only way you're going to have that is people like me, who thinks like I do, who believes like I do. Because as long as you're not harming me, I'll fight for you. That's what the military does. Because at the end of the day, the only way you can be a true Christian is to walk around living your life like a Christian. Lead by example. You don't go beat someone over the head with the Bible or your beliefs or whatever it is. You walk in your way, you stay in your lane, and you walk down the road and you stay in your lane. You look in your mirror before you look out your window. Make sure your life, like the Bible says, make sure.
Oh, if you're y'all are in the wrong chat. That's why it's hard for me to see it. If you click on you don't have to join the voice chat, but click on the one with the video when y'all are chatting for the mod chat, and then you just use the text there. Kind of like when you don't chat in a regular one, you can just click on the little message looking thing. That's why I didn't see none of those. But if you download that game, the levels go down. So if you start at division 10 or whatever, and you have to get to division 9 and then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But you're trying to go from 10 to 9. Once you get to 9, that's when it's counted on. I have 8 people that's done it so far. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
There's no speck in your eye before you try to cast one out of your brother's eye, right? So if everybody will take that attitude and go back and understand our foundation, real simple, it was always been a fight. It was always going to be a fight because
always fighter.
You have to establish accountability, responsibility, honesty, and integrity. Always. And it don't mean that you can't have a rough patch. It don't mean that you can't. Everybody, my dad will tell you, everybody gets their butt chewed out in the military at some point. It don't matter what you do. It don't matter how good a soldier you are. At some point, it ain't as often, but everybody.
That's right, PR. Tell him. Tell him, PR.
The military works on a system, and it works.
Derek Johnson's had his butt chewed in the military because immediately, according to his own brother and some people who served with him, immediately when he got to booze camp, an AIT started feigning an injury, and he carried that with him all the way through until he got with his unit, until he could get kicked out. That's how he got medical. That's how he got out. That's what everybody else says about him. He then later on goes to claim that he was tortured by Obama soldiers for 6 months in the middle of the desert, being beaten in a chair and all kinds of crazy shit. He's since deleted that. I still have it, of course. Actually, I'll grab it right quick and read a small excerpt. But yeah, Derek Johnson is kind of just a horrible piece of shit for this. He got out on medical after he begged and 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 begged, and then they eventually let him out. Then he writes this in his documents. Although classified, I will tell you who are. It says, here's my story with serving under Obama. Although classified, he claims his injuries are classified, by the way. Although classified, I will tell you who are reading this, I was held captive by Obama's cronies. Our own people interrogated and tortured me for months. Why? Because of my direct connections to direct and indirect goals in the white hat operatives, along with my top secret clearance. Now, instantly, I know this is a lie. No one
Incoming
has
dono clip.
any ties to any fucking white hats as a first-year soldier. First of all, they don't exist, but if they did, you're a first-year fucking indirect fire soldier. What are you talking? A 14 Sierra? Are you kidding me? And everybody has a top secret clearance. Everybody has a fucking top secret clearance. If you go on missions at all, or your job uses any type of military tech, you're going to have a top secret clearance. They weren't coming after you for your top secret clearance. Everybody fucking has it. My top scores and my goals being attained to become a general. No one goes from specialist to general, bro. It's not how it works. I wish I could make this up. It's unfortunate I was not the only one. The main reason we were tortured, I had contacts in Congress.
Wilbur, this is Ramesh. I had a question for Derek. How do you speak so much and loud with Trump's weenus in your mouth?
That's a good question. I think that's why he's kind of slow and got that long weird draw. It's all that blunt force trauma to the back of his throat. I've seen a little couple Cheeto babies left back there. Thank you very much, Ramesh, enemy of the show. Ramesh, wondering why Trump's weenus is in the back of Derek's throat. It says, I wish I could make this up. It's unfortunate, but I was not the only one. Main reason we were tortured, I had contacts. So he's saying I was not the only one, but the reason that all of us were tortured was because I knew people in Congress that were heavily involved at those moments in time with a secret society that were planning and building what led to 2016, 2017 to 2021 to present day. Now, when his own brother confronted him and said, "What the fuck is this? I know who you served with. I know where you served. I know where you." I had to call while you were in boot camp and keep them from kicking you out. I had to call in a favor because they knew you were faking an injury. And now you're telling people that you were tortured and that's why you got out? You went in to get your college paid for and got out in 2 years on medical. You got a pretty good fucking deal. Suddenly, he deleted all these passages. He deleted every one of these. I was severely injured, knees and backs to the point of walking on a cane, requiring extensive rehabilitation and therapy, along with putting in the congressionals to be PCS to a warrior transition unit. But Obama had shut down many of the WTUs and always had a great excuse for declining numbers. They were declining because he was breaking the back of the military with his major cutbacks. Once it was discovered we were writing letters and sneaking them out to an ombudsman, that's when things got crazy. Even my own sergeants had no idea where I was and what was going on. A few of us had to sneak around and buy time for each other, lying about our whereabouts and covering for one another. We would each take turns sneaking to the ombudsman. And when they say hurry up and wait in the military, that ain't no joke. And it doesn't matter how much your life is in danger. Hence why friendly fire is the close to leading cause of death in the military. Not at all. Not even not anywhere close to the leading cause. The ombudsman told us, which is on file, classified file. This is the craziest justification I've ever heard. Listen, the ombudsman, which is like an official outside of an agency that looks into these matters, the ombudsman told us on file, as if you could find it. Then he says, classified files, letting you know that you can't find it. We were in grave danger. We fear for your lives. They would take us out in the desert
Incoming Donald clip.
and physically torture us in ways that would make our injuries worse than what they already were. They would sit us in rooms, isolated, staring at a wall all day with our arms behind the chairs and legs folded back. He claims he was tortured to get out of the military. But you could see his discharge photos and how he's smiling from ear to ear, talking about it's the best time of his life. He's never had more fun. All the guys there were his friends. He's giving high fives to people, driving away, holding up his certificate. Kind of weird. He was let go for a knee injury. They would throw things at us, hit us with these items.
Thanks, Will, for presenting Derek Johnson with his laws and orders and his plan to rid the world of those scary morning formations that make him sweat.
He said, so thank you very much for that donation. He said one time, I have PTSD, and so does, that was Dreamweaver, so does Dreamweaver. Derek Johnson says he has PTSD and night terrors because he wakes up in the middle of the night afraid that he is going to miss a morning formation. Afraid that he is going to miss morning formation. He's never deployed. He's never seen combat. But he wasn't in like a sexual assault either. Missing formation in the morning. Missing formation in the morning gives him PTSD. Got it. All right, back to his video, his stupid ass fucking video.
A regiment, it works on a discipline, it works on a structure, all right? And it works on a chain of command. And as the saying is, crap rolls downhill, uphill, and back downhill in the military. All right, somebody's going to get the butt chewed. Somebody's going to take it. All right, so that's the saying is in the military. So if you apply that just because your boss was hard on you a little bit, don't mean that he's a racist and some kind of phobic or something. We got to get that back reestablished in this nation. People have to understand our foundation and that it's always been a fight and it was always going to be a fight. So when you apply that, then you move forward. I try to do a football analogy. Like my dad,
okay,
he can tell you every player that Alabama's recruited all the way back to the 50s, right? He can tell you that. But football, you got Monday morning quarterbacks. Oh, man, if he'd just passed the ball. Oh, if he'd just done this, if he'd just done that. If people would understand football is a game of X's and O's, all 11 men on the field on one side, the offense, they all have a part to play. Then you got the other side, the defense. All of those 11 men, they have a part to play. They have a blocking scheme. They have a way that they're supposed to be reading the quarterback. If you're a lineman,
Now we're doing football for some reason.
you got blocking schemes. If it's a running play, if it's a passing play, it ain't just sitting in the stands going, throw the ball. Hey, why can't he see that man open? All right, if you never played a game and you've never been in that, then it's hard for you to truly understand when you're talking to someone who.
But it literally is, okay? At the further the higher levels of, it's not like a fucking peewee or middle school. The high even in a lot of high schools, probably some middle schools down in Texas and shit. The higher you get up into football and the more talented you are, that's when you get to audibles. So it might be a run and play. It might be fucking one back through the goddamn two hole, and they're showing blitz. Heavy, strong side blitz. Are you just going to run that play that was called because your coaches called it because they called a run and play? Of course fucking not. You're going to throw a slant or something. Bring that fucking inside receiver across the middle. Hit him quick. He's not going to get lit up by the middle linebacker. He's showing blitz. Like, Derek just needs to leave the analogies to people who understand what he's talking about.
Has played the game, especially if they played it a long time, especially if they were good at it. Right? So that's what people have to understand where you are in your life right now. You're all a part of this. You can all have a piece of the pie, as the saying is. You all have a pillar that God wants you to do. But you have
Thank you, Judy.
I always tell people, if you trust the man.
You guys, I'm telling you, like, you're going to want to stick around to see what he thought would be a good idea right here. It is, it makes me mad as fuck. It ought to make you mad.
But you can't trust the man on the plan if you don't know anything about the plan and if you don't know how the man got in the plan. You know, all these people out there, oh, Donald Trump, Donald Trump's my president. They can't tell you anything about the three branches of government. They can't tell you who writes the law, passes the law, interprets the law. They don't know anything about that. And that's what's wrong with our nation.
Those are your followers, idiots. You're talking about old ladies who just scream, I love Donald Trump. He's saving the world. Those are your followers.
And that's why Congress looks the way it does, is because people don't know who to voice their opinion to. Because if they did, they wouldn't be yelling at me, wouldn't be mad at me. I wouldn't receive the death threats I do and the hate mail I do, because all I've done is taken what federal and military attorneys wrote, passed, and all I'm doing is interpreting. And our founders made the Constitution. Our founders made everything that we have tangible, that we can visually look at, public information. Therefore, it's what? Public knowledge. So everything that Donald Trump and the military did that you can tangibly read, they put it into place. Now, he's not going to voice, hey, we're going over to, we're going to be over in the state of Georgia this week, and the National Guard's going to be doing this, and this. No, they're not going to do that. He told you that in 2016. Never again will we voice to the public what's going on with our military, because if y'all find out, guess who else finds out? If you want to know, you can join. He specifically said that. Now, anybody who's in a uniform, who's talking publicly, they're in direct Department of Defense uniform regulations violations. They're also their branch uniform regulations violations. They're also, most bases have their own, every military base I've ever seen has their own, what you can and can't do politically in uniform, okay? And then they're also in violation of their oath and a national security breach. So any veteran out there, not a veteran, excuse me, any active duty, any National Guard, any reservist that's on any kind of podcast, anything in a uniform, those people are traitors.
Hold on now. Hold on. We're getting kind of specific here. What we got? That's 2718. Let's back up just a little bit.
They're also, most bases have their own, every military base I've ever seen has their own, what you can and can't do politically in uniform, okay? And then they're also in violation of their oath and a national security breach. So any veteran out there, not a veteran, excuse me, any active duty, any National Guard, any reservist that's on any kind of podcast, anything in a uniform, you better run. Those people are traitors, and they're in direct violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
That's not actually true. So, like, so they're allowed to do limited stuff in uniform, right? Basically, the big thing is you have to maintain a military bearing, right? You have to be a good example for whatever branch you're serving in, and you cannot get political. You cannot get political. Think of how many YouTubers or TikTokers you see. Are they all getting booted? Are they all be rounded up to Gitmo? They don't want you to take overly political actions. It affects the way the public views you. It affects the way your leadership's going to view you. It affects a lot of people. You shouldn't be overly. You're not even supposed to go to like rallies or dinners or none of that shit in uniform. You can be out of uniform, sure. You can do basically whatever you want out of uniform.
And also regulations in their branch. they could be court-martialed. That's what the Law of War Manual does. The Law of War Manual. So I always show people the start of this thing. The
Law of War Manual. Got it.
For people to know where the line shifted and where this thing shifted. And for people like my dad, who I love more than anybody in the world. But my dad, I don't think he minds me telling his age. He'll be 81 in September. He's lived a lot of life, a great life. But a lot of people his age have not seen laws applied or upheld. All right, so it's a lot of people out there, anywhere between the ages of 35, I'd say, and his age bracket, for sure, that you've been visually watching your life. If you've been keeping up with current events, we know that laws have not been applied or upheld. But where the line was drawn in the sand, and you can visually
okay.
If you'll go read these laws and orders, but especially the federal continuity directives, if you'll take time to read, or if you're like Reed from Texas and you hate to read, I get it, print out these laws and orders. Print them out, or pull them up on your phone, or pull them up on...
How is printing them out going to... You said if you hate to read, print them out. On your brain? Print them out on what?
Or your laptop, whichever one works for you, and then get your phone or your laptop, vice versa, whichever one you want to use, and pull up videos of people like me breaking down the laws and the orders, because there's no way to do it. People have written in and said, hey, can you just do like one at a time? No, you can't do one at a time. And the reason why you can't do one at a time is because all these go together and they form a blueprint. Now, you can do one at a time the way that you study.
That's not true. Laws were not meant. Laws and orders and executive orders and what acts were not made to be batch read and connect them to this one, to connect that one, to connect this one, to connect that one, to connect this one, to connect that one, to prove that this guy's still in charge and everything's a movie. They weren't written to be batch read like that.
Where you are and the way you have to process information, just no different than when you were in college. I have buddies who could come to college, show up on test day, just reading the book all week, never come to class, pass a test. I wasn't like that. I had to go to class every day. I had to take ungodly amounts of notes and still, more than likely, made a B. You know, so I worked my butt off to get a B. Now, I didn't in my master's. My master's, I was close to a 4.0. But, you know, I had a different mindset at the time I did that. But however you got to study, you got to do what you got to do. But you can't put these in, you can't break them down just...
Look at this douchebag.
But if you'll start small and start simple with the little short blueprint that I always talk about, which I'm going to show you really quick, if you'll start with that and then branch off, then you'll be fine. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's all there, but you have to understand a little bit more history. All right, Donald Trump in January 2021, he spoke at Alamo, Texas. Not at the Alamo, but in Alamo, Texas for a reason. One, because of the name and the optic, but also because it was on the border wall, exactly on the border wall. He spoke, and that was an optic. All right, well, a little boy like me, thank goodness, one of my belt buckles, custom buckles.
So the new rules for social media, basically, they come out with some newer rules back in the DOD put out. It's 2002, I think, or something. What it basically said is you have personal accounts and you have external official presences, EOPs maybe, and official accounts. So you have personal accounts, you have external official presences, EOPs, and you have official accounts. And basically what they said is, like, if you're on your official account as like the commandant of the Marines, or, you know, general of the Army, or even if it was like gate guard of post blah 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 unit blah blah blah, if it's an official account, then, or if it's an external official presence. So like maybe you're not, it's not an official account as Sergeant Major of this, but if you're using it kind of like an official account, or that your presence there kind of makes it an official account, then you're not allowed to engage in anything political, no social media, none of that, in the political or you know, you shouldn't be like calling people names or even retaliatory remarks, blah, blah, blah. Everything's professional above the board. Your personal account can be a lot of fucking things. The way they pointed it out was like, if the same way you would act in a federal workplace, then when you go to your personal account, you have a lot more freedom to do basically whatever the fuck you want.
Nacogdoches, Texas. All right, but in Texas, all right, the Alamo. William Barrett Travis grew up in Claiborne, Alabama. Purdue Hill, Alabama. It's got two names. William Barrett Travis was the hero of the Alamo. He drew a line in the sand. Texans love the Alamo more than they love San Jacinto and all the other battles. They love the Alamo because those men died right there and really didn't have to die there. They could have all raised their white flag because they were running out of ammo, and they only had about 100 men surrounded by about 3,000 Mexicans. All right, so they could have surrendered, but they didn't. And they all died right there for Texas Republic. All right. A lot of people don't realize the Texas flag can fly. That flag can fly the same level as the American flag. That's why Texas is so important to the GDP and also this nation. That's why it's very important. And I'll bring it up shortly too in a different way. But Texas, the Alamo, Donald John Trump drew a line in the sand in 2016. And what the military did with Trump, when they got him to run, they wanted an outsider, not a career politician, for a reason. Because why? There's multiple operations going on. The first one is exposing the federal corporation. By law, the United States became a federal corporation. 28 U.S. Code 3002. All right. Also in Stoutenberg versus Hennick, it defines D.C. as a foreign territory. All right. Then you move forward. It's all out. I mean, and we'll get down. I'm gonna intertwine it here in a minute. So keep that in mind. And then when I come down to what happened in World War II, but we became a federal corporation. Donald Trump's exposing that and exposing all the rhinos and all those who are using all of our funds, all our taxpayer money, all these taxes, all these ungodly taxes, and benefited from it. Not us. Nobody. Even if you're the most liberal out there, you still are in the same spot you've always been in. You're a slave to the system. You're a slave to the matrix. You're a slave to taxes, all right, that are ungodly, that are unconstitutional. And then you have the rights, the far rights, same position. Everybody's a slave. Who was the only people who benefited from it? The career politicians. That's where the term the rich get richer. They're the ones because they were screwing all of us on all levels. So it doesn't benefit anybody. And there's what Donald Trump's also doing is saying, hey, you don't want the federal government to control too much. Because that's our founders said the same thing. Our founders wanted a checks and balance system, right? So you don't want the federal government deciding certain things to do with your health because it can benefit you for 30 years, but then it can turn on you the next 30 years. The very thing that could benefit you, if you got the wrong group of people in that thought the polar opposite, then it can turn on you. And we don't want that.
Okay. They turn on you just like that.
Is to understand what it was set up for. It was brought for a reason. Our founders were Christian, godly men, but that didn't mean that they didn't want you.
I've never seen someone just not understand. Like, I understand he's from Alabama. I understand he's dumb. I've heard him talk. I've heard him try to, I've heard him try to, like, deal with hypotheticals and analogies and shit. Like, I know he's dumb. But I think he has to purposefully be misinterpreting this shit. He has to. There's no other excuse for him.
They did not want you persecuted for your beliefs. Right?
That's true.
So you got to understand.
Not breaking any boots.
The way that the Constitution reads, it protects you as a whole. So Donald Trump was put in there to do that. And then also, he's the king of bankruptcy. All right, they're bankrupting the U.S. dollar for a reason because it's corrupt. That's how they funded child trafficking, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, human trafficking. And it can't be accounted for. After the 68, after we left the gold standard Act in 68, the Congress made the dollars as valuable as they wanted it or as invaluable as they wanted it. They could toy with your life depending on what they wanted to do with it. The Federal Reserve, et cetera, the Treasury Secretary, the U.S. Treasury Secretary. All right, they could do what they wanted with it. So people have to understand we're going back to a gold-backed digital currency. It ain't going to be like all this crypto stuff that most people are talking about. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm not an expert in it. I know people are. You can check out their videos.
Yeah, Charlie Ward, go get him.
You take the law war manual. Donald Trump drew the line in the sand on 2016 campaign when he.
This 1861 is the dumbest thing. This is when they formed D.C. Of course, they incorporated it. It needed laws. It needed judges. It needed police officers. It needed a justice of the peace. It needed a board of mayor and alderman. It needed it.
Again, but we voice to the public what's going on with our military, because if the people find out, guess who else finds out? Then he also said another thing to Jeb Bush. This is the reason if you'll remember back in 2016, all those Republicans they put on stage, they put all of them on there for a reason. When Jeb Bush said, who's going to vote for you? Who's going to back you? Who's going to support you? He specifically said, well, that's a loaded question. I love smartasses. I really do. Donald Trump's the biggest smartass, but he can back it up. He said, that's a loaded question. Well, if the moderator give me time.
He says he loves smartasses until he literally doesn't. And then when he doesn't, that's the end of it. That's always the end of it.
I'm going to answer that for you, Jeb. You know what, Jeb? American people are going to vote for me because they're tired of BS politicians like you. Every single one of you on the stage has served no less than 4 years, and you tell the American people what they want to hear, and you never back it up. And people are tired of that crap, and that's why they're going to vote for me. And who's going to back me? Who's going to support me? I have over 200 generals backing me right now. That was in 2016. But see, what people need to understand is when you hear 200 generals, most people hear individuals. When military people hear 200 generals, we hear 200 generals and their divisions, meaning all the way down to your little cousin who's a private first-class fuzzy or a fuzzy at Fort Benning, Georgia. That's what we hear. All right, 200 generals and their divisions. And I can tell you he has over 800 plus generals, world generals backing it. So, and it's clear. You can watch it on the flight out, the radar, every single day. All right, so the Law of War Manual was the line in the sand. And the timing of all these things. The Law of War Manual was issued June 12, 2015. Reissued. Now, that's the Department of Defense's War Manual. Donald Trump rolls down the escalator 4 days later. No coincidence. And then the Military Justice Act, very first piece of paper in U.S. history that backs our founders, that military law courts, and personnel are separate from civil laws, courts, and personnel. And the timing of that is so key and important. That's the United States Supreme Court clarifying that in 2016. Now, it didn't get passed until the 2017 National Defense Authorization Act. It didn't go into effect until August 2020, which was a key month for the quantum system. All right, so the timing. Well, the reason why the timing is even more epic, ladies and gentlemen, we have been under a continuity of government since January 20th, 2017, which means Congress.
Oh my God! Of course we had.
Executive branch, the president, the vice president, and the cabinet are all under a continuity.
So this is just him literally misunderstanding the fact that we were we felt like we were underprepared with what we would do in case of a situation where we needed to continue the government and disaster struck. So all of the major branches of the government had to come up with continuity plans. Now, what is there? It's like everybody else in the world sees, okay, they planned out what they're going to do in emergency just in case. Derek sees, oh, we're already in an emergency, and this is a book describing what's going on during this emergency. See how silly that is? Imagine if I bought a brand new car, and on my way home from the car, I pull over to a gas station. I'm looking around the car, and I open the glove box, and there's an owner's manual in there that tells me how to replace the belts and the brakes and the engine fluid. And I say, oh, fuck! The car's already broke. It's already here in this book how to fix it. Or would it be more feasible to say, oh, well, this is a brand new car, but if, I have a light bulb go out, belt breaks, or something going on, I could probably find it in this book.
Government, which means Congress knows what's going on, the courts knows what's going on, and when you read these federal continuity directives, it shows their essential functions of what they'll do, because why? Life moves forward, time moves forward, government moves forward. So they have essential functions that they have to do, that they always would have to do no matter what, like the National Defense Authorization Act. That's a defense budget. That has to be signed every year. There's certain things that are essentials to our sustainability. Those federal continuity directives point out clearly all three branches of government under a continuity of government and also continuity of operational plans. All right. The first one was issued January 17, 2017, 3 days before Donald Trump took office.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, and then you had January 20, 2017, the headbands behind Donald.
Wasn't it 7 days before?
We're moving forward on the timeline here. Military intelligence, judge advocate generals.
Oh, wait. Where's those headbands at? Nobody can find them. Military intelligence, JAG. Where's those No military in the fucking world puts their job titles on headbands on their dress uniforms. So show me, where were these? We've looked and looked and looked. Nobody can find these headbands that you can't share pictures of.
Evidence, judge advocate generals. We have it all. We've caught them all. Who's the we? Military intelligence. That's why those headbands were prevalent on January 20, 2017. Move a little forward. You had the Federal Continuity Directive 2 that came out June 13, 2017, which should show you, all right, if this FCD1 came out January 17, 2017, 3 days before Boss Man took office, and then you got Part 2 coming out June 13, 2017, that should show you another kind of continuity in itself. It means that, oh, we are definitely in the continuity of government because here comes Part 2, which they call the implementation phase. All right, we go read it. All right, it has about the communications in there, emergency communications. Talks a lot about that.
This guy's fucking trolling him, showing his very lonely birthday party.
Those things. It talks about what continuity of government is, once again, in three branches of government, their essential functions. And then you had the National Security Strategy that came out 2017 in December. If you go look at that alone, holy crap. It specifically talks about the pandemic. When people don't report to work, what to do during the pandemic. This came out 2017, December 2017, which you go look at the 2018 one, February. The February 2018 one outlines a pandemic. This is a continuity of government. Once again, it's called Continuity Guidance Circular. It shows COG. It shows our three branches under COG, and it shows pandemic. Holy crap. And it's word for word what we saw in 2020, which moving forward, the next directive that came out, January 2021, it's actually called the Executive Branch Reconstitution. Just think what you saw during January 2021. Holy smokes. Everybody was distracted by what? Man, all the speeches. You had J6, you had the National Guard moving in, and you had January 20 and 2021. Look at all the distractions. And it's actually called the Executive Branch Reconstitution. Section 2.3 of that specifically says, when the new seat of government cannot be established in Washington, D.C., Congress, with its enumerated powers, can get with the states and reset a new seat of government.
Yeah, think nuclear fallout. We didn't have if Washington, D.C. was wiped off the face of the earth and no one could inhabit it, we didn't really have a plan on who would decide where the new capital was, who would decide when we moved, how we moved, who went, who stayed, who left. That's how that works.
And then construction can begin. Holy crap. You got that in January 2021. Then the next one came out July 2021. So for all the people out there that don't understand that Donald John Trump is still commander-in-chief by laws and orders, let's just look at it this way. Federal Continuity Directive 1 came out January 17, 2017, 3 days before Trump took office. And then the last one, July 2021, would be, what, 7 months into him, quote-unquote, which is really 6 months if you go by days, 6 months after, quote-unquote, he's supposed to be former president. So it shows you we're in a continuity of government. It shows you that our Congress and FEMA and Department of Homeland Security are writing all these directives from 2017, 2018, 2021. Amazing. It's all.
So it's from FEMA. It says Executive Branch Reconstitution Concept Operatives. FEMA. Executive Branch Reconstitution Concept of Operations. FEMA. I'm sorry, I said operatives. Concept of Operations. FEMA. FEMA National. Here's the introduction. The concept of operations, CONOP, outlines the approach to reconstituting the executive branch following the occurrence of a continuity event. It defines the roles and responsibilities of the executive departments and agencies, DAs, including the key assistance roles played by the Federal Emergency Management, FEMA, the General Services Management, GSA, the Office of Personnel Management, OPM. That's who does your background checks and shit, too. The National Archives and Records Administration. Background. Presidential Policy Directive PPD 40 requires the Executive Office of the President, the EOP, and executive DAs to provide for reconstitution capabilities that allow for recovery from a catastrophic emergency and resumption of normal operations. It states that the Secretary of Homeland Security shall, through the administrator of FEMA, facilitate the planning and coordinate the activities of the GSA, OPM, NARA, among others, in supporting the reconstitution efforts of the EOP and executive DAs, and informing the National Continuity Coordinator of the executive branch's reconstitution status. PPD further outlines the responsibilities of FEMA, GSA, OPM, and NARA for executive branch reconstitution. These four agencies shall compromise the Interagency Continuity Working Group, ICWG, for reconstitution planning, a standard working group of the Continuity Advisory Group, CAG, which is focused on the development of effective executive branch and DA reconstitution plans. Here's the authorities, which is Homeland Security Act of 2002. FEMA is responsible for preparing and implementing federal government plans and programs for COOP, COG, and continuity of plans. Presidential Policy Directive, PPD 40, establishes comprehensive national policy relating to the continuity of federal government programs, capabilities, and operations to include reconstitution. FEMA is responsible for facilitating executive branch reconstitution efforts supported by GSA, OPM, and NARA. The mission is to facilitate the planning and coordinate the activities supporting the reconstitution of the EOP and executive departments and agencies, and informing the National Continuity Coordinator of the executive branch's reconstitution. The scope, the assumptions. All right, here's the assumptions that they're building this plan on. These are the assumptions. Whenever you have like a war game, or whenever you have like a scenario, a situation based on a scenario, whenever you have some type of thought process you're doing in the military to fucking plan some shit, attack out or whatever, it's always got assumptions. So what are we already accepting as fact? What are the assumptions? Assumptions. Any event or emergency leading to the evacuation of executive branch continuity programs will ultimately end and discontinued functions will resume. Okay? They're assuming that the event will end at some point and we will discontinue this. Doesn't sound like this is putting Trump into place, right? Because why would an event that led you to leave D.C. end and then you're coming back and going back to the old part? That's weird. Adaptive application of reconstitution tenets and program implementation may be required for specific continuity activations. For example, in response to a pandemic or other threats. So this has to be, we have to assume that this has to be adaptive. Is it a flood? Is it a nuclear threat? Is it radiation? Is it an EMP? Is it an assassination? Is it a, whatever? 3, a catastrophic emergency makes Washington, D.C. uninhabitable and will necessitate reconstitution in a new geographic area or areas. 4, committees and processes described in the National Security Presidential Memorandum 4, NSPM 4, will be used for presidential decision making regarding the reconstitution. So there's already a process of how he's going to make the decisions. He's going to use committees and processes that are described in NSPM 4. The Executive Office of the President will establish and maintain reconstitution plans and capabilities comparable to those of the DAs. Each executive DA is responsible for conducting reconstitution planning and implementation. However, the scope of the severity of the continuity event that triggered the executive DA's reconstitution efforts may necessitate assistance from the EBR cell and its members. So this is literally just a, oh shit, what the fuck happened? We've still got to establish, DAs is department and agencies. So every department, this is for they had to go, every department and agency, TSA, FBI, NSA, everybody had to go through this. The Supreme Court has one. Where will we set up how will we set up a new Supreme Court if we have to leave here? Oh, she's a fucking legalist? No, she made that shit up. She's too goddamn dumb to be a legal assistant. That's crazy, though. Somebody just said that in chat. That Carol lady that's been saying all the crazy shit in chat all night on Facebook, she's a legal assistant and a sovereign citizen. The National Security Council staff shall serve as the White House point of contact for the EBR. They shall formalize, test, and validate means to prioritize, coordinate, communicate, and reconcile. They shall utilize, blah, blah, blah. The Executive Office of the President and Executive Departments of agencies prioritize resource allocation, provide capabilities that allow for recovery from catastrophic emergencies and resumption of normal operations, develop a reconstitution plan which provides pre-planned processes and options to recover from the effects of an emergency and transition from continuity operations to normal operations. So when they're saying reconstitute, I don't know why the Q-tards thinks that means write another constitution. They're saying designate a reconstitution, develop a reconstitution plan, and then we're going to skip a whole big ass fucking phrase, and it says which blah 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 and this and blah 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 and blah 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 blah. We don't need that. Those are fucking adverbs and prepositional phrases. We don't need any of those. So develop a reconstitution plan to return to normal operations. The reconstitution plan is opposite of this plan where they're like, get the hell out of Dodge and we got to work from wherever we can work from and still lead the country. Reconstitution is putting the regular ship back together. We're going to reconstitute this. We're going to put it back the old way it was, whether that's in DC or Philadelphia or New York or whatever. That's what it doesn't mean writing a constitution again. Fucking idiots.
And when you go read those, it actually shows how 2020 was planned by the good guys. It shows that 2020
oh my God,
planned to keep all the nimwits at home and keep all the people who can be controlled just by, hey, guess what? COVID. We took the flu numbers and we swapped them out. We just put a new word up there. By the way, stay at home, put on your mask. They proved that 99% of this country are sheep. Well, I know people don't want to hear that, but you're sheep. Sorry. Someone has to be the elephant in the room. I met a Jewish man in Trump International.
Oh my God.
Born in Israel.
He's in love with Jews. He's a member of Jexit, and every time I hear him give a speech, he's talking about the latest Jewish person he met.
And he said until Jews address how 13.8 million people kept getting on the damn train. I mean, he specifically said it like that. Until we address that, until someone's the elephant in the room and addresses that, we ain't ever going to get any better. All right, we're never going to solve this. So what I'm trying to say is if you go read these federal continuity directives, it outlines chemical explosions. It outlines catastrophes.
It outlines what to do in case of these. It doesn't tell them how, like, okay, the government's going to plant barrels here of highly explosive chemical. You have to be able to react to any of these, any threat that they could imagine.
It basically train derailments. I mean, it outlines everything that you have visually seen, all these fires at these different plants and these cows dying. It outlines all of this stuff in these federal continuity directives. But
did someone call you a nitwit? I'm sorry, Kingston Swim.
It's all positive because the military is working on a bigger plan, what we call the big event. Well, the big event, Donald Trump's been amping it up, amping it up, amping it up. November 15th, he specifically said, pretty soon we're going to put a beautiful flag on the surface of Mars. Mars, military auxiliary radio system. All right, military auxiliary radio system. Then,
wait a second.
We're going to do what? Same speech. We're going to decimate street crime by 70 auxiliary radio system, amping it up, amping it up. November 15th, he specifically said, pretty soon we're going to put a beautiful flag on the surface of Mars. Mars.
We're going to put a beautiful flag on the surface of Mars. What he means by that is military amplified radio system. He's going to plant a beautiful flag on top of radio. It's going to be awesome.
Military auxiliary radio system. All right, military auxiliary radio system. Then he says we're going to do what? Same speech. We're going to decimate street crime by 75 to 85%. That's martial law, ladies and gentlemen. Then he moves forward. His CPAC speech. He started talking about central casting again, heavily, central casting. If you Google central casting, the first thing pops up, leading background agency in the United States of America. He's saying, Tom Homan, you're central casting. So that means everything you've seen on the border, they're all actors. It's at what point are Americans
there you go.
Okay, laws and orders. Where we're all affected is our county seeds. Everybody has a county that you live in, and every county has a seed, S-E-E-D, a seed, meaning a courthouse. All right, that's where you're affected. You got to learn your local government. You got to learn who your local representatives are. You didn't learn your state representatives. Learn who your state senators are. You learn who your congressmen are. Learn your system. At what point Americans are going to stop? I know plenty of people who think I'm crazy, which is fine. They're going to have a very rude awakening very soon. But a lot of people.
When? I keep waiting. Oh, here's we're in trivia time, guys. During which American Civil War campaign did Union troops dig a tunnel beneath the Confederate troops to detonate explosives underneath them? The Siege of Vicksburg, Gettysburg Campaign, Antietam Campaign, Siege of Petersburg. That's actually a really good question. Let me play the music. I like that question a lot. Do I still have the music open? Yes, I do. It's not Gettysburg, I'll tell you that much. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Make sure you vote in the poll. It doesn't do anything to put it in chat. Antietam currently leading. $20 more seconds. We'll be done with this trivia. This song is the Cat's Pajamas. That's actually the title of it. It's called Cats in Pajamas. Cats in Pajamas. The Siege of Petersburg. Did you guys get it? Let's see. Chat thought it was Antietam Campaign. It was, it was the Siege of Petersburg. It's actually called, if you ever want to look it up, it is called the Battle of the Crater, I believe, or Crater Battle. No, it's Battle of the Crater. Battle of the Crater. And it is part of the Petersburg Campaign. So there you go. Thank you for hanging out with me. You learned something, didn't you? There you go. All right, back to it. Let's listen to Derek Johnson talk more about stupid shit.
People, they will cut out certain things in order to still go drink on the weekends, still go party on the weekends. But they won't take time to read laws and orders of their land. At what point are everybody going to be affected enough that you go, okay, all right, enough with the name calling, enough with all, none of that has anything to do with it. As a matter of fact, the more hate messages I get, the more I dig and the more I research and the more I put it on. So all you're doing is making that worse. All you're doing is firing up more patriots, because a patriot heart is a fighter. And real fighters don't back down from the fight, right? So all you're doing is just adding fuel to the fire, as the saying is. instead of learning, holy crap, maybe there is something to this. Maybe if I go actually take my lazy butt off this laptop playing this and actually read this, maybe there is something to this.
Okay.
They're calling these conspiracy theories. Military law, a conspiracy theory? Are you serious right now? And that's where we are in this nation.
Misinterpreting of anything, everything you read. I think it's purposeful at this point.
So Donald Trump, what he did was what Roosevelt did. Roosevelt, when Trump says if they're going to investigate me, they're going to investigate every president before me immediately. So what the military did
But they're not.
with this indictment.
That's just you saying, I'm in trouble, but other people did it. My brother did it. My sister did it. Why don't you say that to them? Go get them. I don't want to be in trouble alone.
Is it opened up for every president before him, if they're alive or even if they're dead, to be either set free, vindicated, or people will know what happened. And we're just at that point in history where it's just got to be addressed, right? So like the phone call, like the little Ukrainian phone call. Well, guess what that phone call is going to vindicate as well? My dad will remember this very well. President Nixon had a little phone call, little thing that they called Watergate. Well, guess who's going to be vindicated for that bullcrap too? Because of career politicians who had nothing but money and politics on mind. They had agendas on mind. President Richard Nixon will be vindicated for that phone call because of Donald Trump's phone call. Had nothing to do with politics. Has everything to do with being president. Everything to do with protecting his people. Because when you really understand what the president's position is border and the protection of his people. If you go look also under Article 2, it's also the president's role to be commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy. All right, so in World War II, Roosevelt.
I don't know why Trump's obsessed with there was people keeping tracks of this, how many times he would say central casting. The Q-Tards are keeping track of it because they thought everything was a movie. But he did seem to be obsessed with, like, people's looks. Like, he's talking about soldiers from central casting. He's talked about other people, just random people from central casting saying they look so good. These guys are from central casting. They look so good like they're from a movie, except even better. He told one veteran that we were talking about one time. What did he tell him? He said it was that Oakley, PFC Oakley. He carried children away from a mass event in El Paso. It was a Army PFC. Trump told him, you look like you'll be a movie star with the way you looking good over there. And they like winked at him. I don't know. He says weird stuff about people's looks.
He guilted Congress in a different way. One, they changed the original inauguration date to from March the 4th to January 20th. All right, a lot of people forget Roosevelt was in his 13th year as president. He was on his 4th term as president. All right, 13 years, he died in office. All right, but Roosevelt told Congress, it's my duty and it's my obligation as under Article 2 of the Constitution, Commander-in-Chief of the Army and the Navy, to act. This was during 1941 after Pearl Harbor. All right, Congress gave Roosevelt the power to restructure the executive branch for the president to declare war. It's known as the First War Powers Act, also known as the War Powers Act of 1941. The president, is that constitutional? No. But they gave him the power, they voted on it, and made it that. So when Donald Trump says if they're going to investigate me, they got to investigate every president before me. That's for a reason. All right? That's for a reason. Because he's using 95% of laws and orders that he didn't write or pass, which is exposing how dirty Congress is being and how dirty other people are being. But President Roosevelt, he had no other choice in a different way because the circuit investigate me, they got to investigate every president before me. That's for a reason. All right? That's for a reason. Because he's using 95% of laws and orders that he didn't write or pass, which is exposing how dirty Congress is being and how dirty other people are being. But President Roosevelt, he had no other choice in a different way because of the circumstances he was put under. All right, and his obligations, because he felt like more soldiers were going to be slaughtered and killed had they not gone into a defensive mode. So Roosevelt, that First War Powers Act, then there was a Second War Powers Act. That Second War Powers Act addressed land and naval use, water usage. So in World War II, all the military were able to use municipal airports, regional airports, all kinds of airports. The interstate systems, they weren't created for you to get your happy little butt over in the left lane and hog the left lane up and make other people mad because you won't hop over in the right lane and use it. The interstate systems were created ultimately for better uses of military to get across the country better, especially when needed. All right, they were put in the Federal Highways Acts. Now they did open up for commerce, and they were also for our commerce to be able to travel across the country more efficiently as well. But they're also heavily for military. And to this day, if an aircraft has to land on an interstate and make your little happy butt late for work, you can't complain because that's what its original uses was for. Okay, so
that's actually not true. That's a wives' tale. None of our roads are laid out They don't have to have so many straight sections in them. They don't have to be the right grade for military aircraft. Russia has some type of program where they build certain heavy roads ever so often, blah, 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 to land planes. Uh-oh.
Set everybody else.
That's the second one. Now at least we broke
Dr.
even.
J. Banana
The PR, you
took
betcha,
$10
ruined the show.
Just because.
Thank you very much. Dr. J. No, I just messing with you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you for the donation and the support. Appreciate it. But yeah, it's Russia has some type of program where they can land like heavy aircraft on there. That has nothing to do with ours. I had always believed this until they landed that Warthog up in, I think it was in Michigan or somewhere. They landed a Warthog out on the interstate as part of just a test to see if they could. And I was like, yeah, that's what they're designed for. I'd always heard that for ever so many miles, they had to be like a straight section so long to land planes on. None of that's true. It wasn't even considered when they built the shit.
That's why a lot of aircraft, when you look down, if it's not a cloudy day, you look down, they travel a lot of major highways just in case there's a problem. They can bust that bad boy on that highway if they have to. So, quick complaint.
Airplanes do not travel major highways. In fact, when you're up at cruising altitude, I mean, they could see tons of highways. Like, what are you talking about? Airplanes don't follow the road. If an airplane followed the road, your flight path would look like your driving path on your GPS, and it doesn't. It's a pretty much straight line with maybe one or two turns. There's 700 bits. Look out. Look out. What's that one?
It tells you laws and orders, because we're a nation of law and order. Oh, all of a sudden, oh man, this guy, look at this guy. Oh, and look at him. He's all upset today. Not upset. Shoot, I sleep like a baby every night.
Thank you very much. That was from PR You Betcha with a bunch of parties, and then Dr. J Banana with a Just Because. Thank you, guys. A lot of people don't even know how to donate the way Dr. J Banana does. That was Derek Johnson there. He was actually featured in all the Toy Story movies, if you didn't know.
Understand your history. Understand why these things were created. So Roosevelt, he used 50 U.S. Code, Chapter 33, Section 1541. It specifically says when a president cannot enforce a law, he can declare national emergencies to declare war as president. Now, there's a bunch of people out there trying to, distract others out there with this because they don't understand this. They're lazy and they won't read. There's a bunch of haters out there.
Mm-hmm. Bunch of haters.
Transferred from president to president. They weren't supposed to. That's part of the corruption that we're talking about. Those national emergencies are supposed to have a joint resolution by Congress, and they're supposed to be resolved. We don't want presidents doing what Bush did, declaring a national emergency, and it going over to Obama, and Obama would have gone over to another dictator had it been that way. We don't need that. That's not why national emergencies were created and established. And they really don't support the Constitution when you really think of that.
So now his argument used to be that they couldn't be transferred, but from president to president. They had to be resolved before the president left office. Now they do that. I had to go look up how many fucking, like 3 or 4 of them Bush left that were like major ones that transferred over to Obama. But I had to go look it up. But now his argument is, well, they shouldn't be. It was, there's no fucking way that Biden can be president because no one looked at Trump's national emergencies and no one did anything. And he said national emergency and no one did nothing. And they have to take care of it before a new president comes. Now it's, well, they shouldn't have done that. I don't like it when they do that.
All right. If Congress is doing what they're supposed to be doing to the president, we don't need to do that. We don't need national emergencies like that. Unless it's for a true national emergency in the sense of like a catastrophe, like a tornado and things of that nature. But not for things that, like Bush and his little bullcrap charade with 9/11. 9/11 alone should be enough to twist this country back to being what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Finds out the truth of 9/11. So when you have Roosevelt,
there we go. We're 9/11 truther too.
10 national emergencies from December 2017 to March 2020. The reason why they were different is when you go read those national emergencies and understand what was going on. When he says election interference, he ain't talking about your vote and my vote. He's talking about the rhinos, the deep state, the cabal. He ain't talking about Alabama's votes. He ain't talking about Georgia.
Oh, okay.
In different ways for certain meanings because it's called a continuity of government. Because the actual work's getting done are by what? Exposing the attorney generals, the governors, the secretary of states, the judges, and the lawyers. For those upholding these laws and orders that are put in place, that's who they're cleaning out. Those are the ones they're rooting out. They want you to know about it, but the ones who don't want to read and don't, they're still going to do it. So that's what you have to understand about that. But when Donald Trump, in March 2020, when he federalized 1 million National Guard active duty.
So they want us to know about it, but if we don't, we don't. That's it.
That was a direct military order. And any veteran who says that's not the case, they should be stripped of their rank. They should be stripped of everything.
That's not it's actually not a direct military order. He authorized the well, let's hear how Derek describes it here.
When he federalized 1 million National Guard active duty, that was a direct military order.
See, he didn't do that. He gave power to the Secretary of Defense to federalize up to 1 million. So first of all, there's no such thing as a direct order. All orders are fucking direct. I don't know if it's like emphasis on it or Hollywood, like that someone orders you to like stand at attention and you don't, and they're like, that's a direct order. Like all orders are direct. They're directed toward you. The only other ones are like unlawful orders that you don't have to follow anyways. But that's not a direct order. If I tell you, okay, here you go, I'm building an ant farm, or I'm going to let you build an ant farm. I'm going to let you build an ant farm, and you can have anywhere between 0 or 1 million ants. If someone reported that as, if I said, Q idiot, I'm going to let you build an ant farm, and here's the stuff to build it, if you want to, and you can have anywhere between 0 and 1 million ants to help you build it. If the news media reported that as, Will Byrd builds an ant farm with 1 million ants, that would be inaccurate. So just because I gave you the access to this and you used whatever you needed, you shut down whatever you didn't, and you did this all on your own, it's not the same as I directly ordered 1 million National Guard troops to federal duty. It's not the same. It didn't happen.
And any veteran who says that's not the case, they should be stripped of their rank. They should be stripped of everything that they did in service if they say that, because they clearly showing.
I'd like to see you come trying to take a fucking some rank off me, motherfucker. Go over here and take one of these goddamn medals. Come over here and take this fucking patch on my sleeve that you ain't got, you slick sleeve piece of shit. Fucking 2 years goddamn hanging out in fucking NTC. I'd like you to see it take a goddamn thing from me. Take your life, motherfucker.
They did not serve for the right reasons, and they don't know military law. And it's a disgrace to anybody laying in a memorial grave right now who died in that uniform, who died for this nation, especially.
There we go. Now we got to lay on bodies, stack them up so Derek can preach from them. It's a disgrace to everybody laying out there dead now. You didn't even fucking leave the United States. You didn't even fucking pull a contract. You didn't even make it 2 goddamn years, bro. Why are you always... It's a disgrace to all these dead soldiers who died overseas defending your freedoms. What the fuck would you know about that?
So they serve for the right reasons. It's a disgrace to this nation that we have veterans who won't stand up and read the freaking law which they served under. So yes, I'm going to get passionate and pissed when you have veterans out there still telling
Here we go. We're getting hot. We're getting hot and heated. This is going to piss you off in a second.
people this ain't happening. This is a bunch of
veterans telling people this ain't happening. I wonder who he's talking about.
Don't listen to these people. It's a crock of crap. They're showing maybe who their allegiance was to as well. Just because you served in the military does not mean
they're showing their allegiances to Biden, the president. That's their commander in chief. Not that they take orders from him, not that they have to agree with him, but ultimately that is the top of their chain of command. And no matter how many videos you make, it won't make it fucking Trump being their CIC secretly. Fucking retard.
You serve for the right reasons. It doesn't mean that you serve for the military law and for your country in the famous JFK quote about what you should do for your country, not what your country can do for you. Huge difference. So Executive Order 13912 is where Donald Trump federalized 1 million National Guard to active duty. Not only is that a direct military order, but he put it in a federal order, which falls under 10 U.S. Code Chapter 1209. So when others out there say, oh, thank you for your service, but I don't know if I believe all this. Well, when I raised my right hand to swear in under the Army, guess what I swore in under? Title 10. Well, guess what this order's under? Title 10.
By the way, no one does this. Michelle Snyder bought you 2 6-packs. It's not much, but I hope it helps. Thank you very much, Michelle. I appreciate it. We'll put it to good use. I appreciate it. No one who actually served and did something in the military and is happy with what they did or accomplished or whatever, right? No one acts like this. No one's trying to stand on top of fucking dead bodies and say, you got to do this or else you're disrespecting all these people who died. Or I did this for you, so you got to listen to me. Or, all right, you're going to try this. Those other guys should be stripped of all their shit. Nobody does that. It's always the people who didn't go far enough, who didn't do enough, who are embarrassed of what they did in the military that are like, well, I did this and I did that, and you just wait.
Guess who's the only person who can federalize the National Guard to active duty? That'd be the president. What's that under? Title 10. So you can't have one without the other. It's just like the Bible. You either believe in all of it or you believe in none of it. The Bible even tells you that. It's better to know. It's better not to know than to know and to deny it. So It's all there. It's all in writing. That's a direct military order. Donald John Trump became a wartime president in March 2020. Then he did something no other president's ever done. Executive Order 13919. He gave the Secretary of Defense equal authority to federalize the National Guard active duty. So that's also what they call a Plan B or an order of succession, where just in case something happened to President Trump, or he's in a place he can't communicate.
Here's what it says. This is 912, by the way, the first one he was talking about. To provide additional authority to the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security to respond to the national emergency declared by Proclamation 9994. The authorities under this section, 12302 of Title 10, United States Code, and sections 2127, 2308, 2314, 3735 of Title 14, United States Code are invoked and made available according to the terms to the Secretaries of Defense and Homeland Security. The Secretaries of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, at the direction of the Secretary of Defense, the Secretaries of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, at the direction of the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, with respect to the Coast Guard when it's not operating as a service of the Navy, are authorized to active duty not to exceed 24 consecutive months. Such units and individual members of the Ready Reserve under the jurisdiction of the Secretary concerned not to exceed 1 million members on active duty at any one time. As the Secretary of Defense, and with respect to the Coast Guard when it's not operating as the service to the Navy, the Secretary of Homeland Security. So he's given this all to the Secretary of Defense to do this, except for if the Coast Guard is not working with the Navy at the time, then they don't fall under the Secretary of Defense. They fall under the Secretary of Homeland Security. But still, Secretary of Defense, as applicable, will ensure appropriate consultation is undertaken with the relevant state officials with respect to the utilization of National Guard Reserve components units activated under this authority. That's it. He just told all he did was tell the Secretary of Defense you can have up to 1 million people to help fight COVID. That's it.
Guess what? He has that much confidence in that Secretary of Defense that he can make that decision if he has to. So that's huge right there in itself. Now, Biden. Before we get to Biden.
Oh, God.
And what happened on January 20th, none of these orders would benefit Joe Biden whatsoever. Even if Joe Biden was real, none of these executive orders.
Even if he was real. Even if.
None of those orders would benefit Joe Biden whatsoever. They would go completely against his policies, completely against everything that man has stood for in his life. It would go against it. Why has Biden extended all 10 national emergencies, and why has he extended the order that federalized the National Guard to active duty if it's all hogwash, if it's conspiracies, or if it's all BS?
Yeah, that's probably not a bad idea, Melissa, if that's the way you feel. But yeah, we usually don't try suggestions, stuff like that. But yeah, it's probably not a bad idea, honestly, if you feel that way.
Why has he extended those then? Nobody wants to answer that. See, nobody wants to answer. All these liberals out there and all these trolls, nobody has said laws are either revoked or revised, orders are either rescinded or mission accomplished. They don't write laws that say that this ain't happening. They either revoke the ones in place or revise them. How come Biden has extended every single national emergency executive order that Donald Trump put in place? And how come he extended the federalization of the National Guard active duty out to March 2024? How and why? It makes no sense any other time. And to show you how these are all in operation, the National Guard, they've been out of their states every single day since that federalization.
Oh, my God. Every day?
Governors have control of their National Guard for state emergencies only. Just like Hurricane Katrina. When Katrina hit Louisiana, all right, that governor had to go to the Adjutant General because they wanted states like Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and I think Arkansas to come help those National Guard. So that governor had to go to the general, the commanding general of the National Guard of Louisiana, and that commanding general had to go to the commanding generals of those states. Ladies and gentlemen, out there, if your auntie, your cousin, your daddy, your pappy, your grandpa, or whoever says that the governors have control of the National Guard for federal level, they are, I don't even want to say what they are.
You don't understand what's going on. I spoke to probably, at this point, probably over 50 National Guard members. Not during COVID time, okay? Not during the COVID call-up that we just read the executive order for, but at the inauguration. What happened during the inauguration is the D.C. National Guard put out a call to all other states with the backing of the Secretary of Defense and said, hey, we're going to need some security. Anybody you can spare, we're going to put them on state-activated duty. They obviously weren't going to go to Trump. He didn't give a fuck. He was getting kicked out, right? And Biden was coming in. We're going to put them on state-activated duty under your command. You can recall them at any time, but we're going to fund that through DC and through federal funds. Do you guys not remember when they found out that some of the National Guard soldiers for the inauguration were like sleeping in fucking on asphalt and in garages and shit? And the first thing that happened was like New Jersey's like, I'm calling back my troops. And fucking Vermont's like, I'm calling back my troops. And governors got on their phone and called back their troops. You know how they wouldn't be able to do that? How they would not be able to call back their troops? Was if they were under federal command. They couldn't get their troops back. They were under the command of their governors that had been taken and said, okay, DC, you can use these guys. Let me know when you're done with them. And if I need them, I'll call them back myself. He's lying again. Oh, fuck. He doesn't even understand that we were right at 1 hour. That was my bad.
Everybody has a count. How dirty Congress is. Don't read. There's a bunch of haters out there to know. It's better not to know than to know and to deny. Joe Biden, whatsoever. They would go completely revoke the ones in place or revise them. Have emergencies only. Just like Hurricane Katrina. When Katrina hit Louisiana, all right, that governor had to go to the adjutant general because they wanted states like Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and I think Arkansas to come help those National Guard. So that governor had to go to the general, the commanding general of the National Guard of Louisiana, and that commanding general had to go to the commanding generals of those states. Ladies and gentlemen, out there, if your auntie, your cousin, your daddy, your pappy, your grandpa...
As a request, all you have to do is request that, okay? You don't have to go and, like, suck their dick or, you know, go and present your firstborn child or go and, you know, give them a hand job. Like, you just say, hey, could you guys help us over here? We had a fucking hurricane.
How and why? It makes no sense any other time. And to show you how these are all in operation, the National Guard, they've been out of their states every single day since that federalization. The National Guard are for, the governors have control of their National Guard for state emergencies only. Just like Hurricane Katrina. When Katrina hit Louisiana, all right, that governor had to go to the adjutant general because they wanted states like Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and I think Arkansas to come help those National Guard. So that governor had to go to the general, the commanding general of the National Guard of Louisiana, and that commanding general had to go to the commanding generals of those states. Ladies and gentlemen, out there, if your auntie, your cousin, your daddy, your pappy, your grandpa, or whoever says that the governors have control of the National Guard for federal level, they are, I don't even want to say what they are. It fires me up that people don't even understand.
He don't want to say.
Under regulation, it's very simple.
He don't even want to say.
Control of National Guard for state emergencies only. Federalization requires the president of the United States of America. And if governors had that kind of control, think how many power-tripping, pompous, jackass governors.
They weren't federalized at that time, but whatever.
That would power trip by now. Think about that. Apply that. It don't work that way. And thank God it hasn't, and thank God it doesn't, and thank God it never will. Because we would have really been in some trouble.
He's literally, so this is why I say he's willingly ignorant. We're getting to the good part, even if I got to skip ahead some. I know it's getting late. It's 1:30. I know it's getting late. It's still about 30 minutes away, but I'm going to skip ahead. This is why I say it's willful ignorance, right? Like, he just said the right answer. He said what I've said since he started peddling this shit 6 months ago. They were on state activated duty at the time. They were under their governors. I have seen the orders that my old truck commander got to report to DC, his order packet. He is called to duty by his state governor on state activated duty, state active duty, SAD. And he is basically transferred to the DC National Guard for whatever whims they have, blah, 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 to help with I've seen the fucking paperwork, the activation paperwork. And he's going to run around, say the right answer, and then pretend like you're dumb for believing the right answer, because what actually happened is Trump did it all. Because it was a military fucking charade or some shit.
Had that been the case. So when you apply that, the National Guard are out today, they're all over the nation. Today, yesterday, the day before, that's why I post those pictures every day. I wasn't trying to take.
No, there was never a million federalized, if that was what you're talking about. Nowhere near. A lot of places didn't want the National Guard helping with their COVID cases because just perception, how that looks. Like, we got military here, and we're handing out vaccines, and they're like just kind of chilling by the door, like security. Like, it looks bad, right? Especially when like a pandemic's going on. So a lot of states didn't even use soldiers to do anything, or if they used soldiers for anything, there's a small group of them like in the back. They didn't want them out front at like at places, and it looks scary when there's like soldiers in your street and they're like they're like fucking manning the local Walmart, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Over Monkey Works and all these other dudes that do it, but they're not showing you what they're doing in different ways. I'm showing you, here's the laws, here's the orders, here's what was put in place. This is the National Guard out of the states every day, putting the pieces of puzzle together, everybody, for out there. The National Guard, they're out of the states and they're out of the country every single day. That order was put into place March 2020, and that order has been extended. Now, what's amazing about that order is a 2-year order. So when you read it, it says no more than 24 consecutive months. So whenever you go in and you go, wait, so it was past March 2020, so that meant March 2022 would have been when it was needed to be readdressed, because it says consecutive months. It's not a hard stop 2 years, it's a consecutive. So why would Biden extend it in March 2021? Maybe because what they call optics.
Let's skip ahead. He's going to have another meltdown here that we need to get to, and I don't want to miss it. I know it's at around the, hold on, let me make sure. It's around the 1:30 mark, but I don't want to miss it. Okay, yeah. We'll just jump ahead to 1:30 and listen what happened. This is on 420, so this was yesterday, right? 2 days ago. 2 days ago, he decided to call out one of our good friends. I'm going to start it at like 1:29 because I've got to use the restroom right quick, but I'll be right back with you guys. Let's start it right here. Here we go.
Or that meme of Willie Nelson. Does that have to do with the Farm Aid deal that he was involved in?
No, so Age sent that to me. She sent that to me last night. But Willie, today 420 is a number that they talk about for marijuana day. So I'm not advocating, and I just think it's hilarious because Willie Nelson is such he is a big guy in Farm Aid. I actually know the guy. My Billboard team that scored my 2 Billboard hits in country music. One of them's dad was the founder of TNN Network, the Tennessee Network, and he and Willie signed that Farm Aid deal. So he was the one that signed to broadcast it for him. So I love Willie no matter how he lives his life. So I just shared it for that. It's basically saying, put out your cookies and milk, because when people smoke weed, they get super hungry. So it was a joke for that.
Well, I thought it had a double meaning there, because the reason why, like, a lot of people follow the NESARA deal, right? And you were just on a show talking to Dr. Scott about it, and when it was dropped, and you put out cookies and milk, type deal. I go and look up the Farm Aid deal, and that's supposedly how NESARA got started.
Yeah, it could have been a double, but I didn't mean it for that. I always think it's hilarious because of Willie.
Did he have to explain who Willie Nelson was, that he smokes pot?
I mean, I've been around
fucking idiots,
but not around him specifically. But
I've been around him one time, but not him specifically. It was actually a completely different dude who said he was around Willie one time. So that's 2 degrees of separation. Fucking idiot.
I was around his bus anyway, but he's.
I was around him one time. Well, not him. It was his bus. Well, not his bus. It was a different actor's bus, or a different performer's bus who usually opens. Well, it wasn't a performer's bus who opens for him. It was actually a church bus. Well, it wasn't a church bus. It was actually a school. Well, it wasn't a school bus. It was a short bus. Well, it wasn't a short bus. It was a transit van. And that's how I met Willie Nelson. Okay, got it.
He's just a cool guy. So he's a different guy, but I mean, he's cool, and he kind of supports a lot of different things that people should understand. Like, if you can, you can live like he can, but still support certain things, kind of deal. So anyway,
well,
by the time we get to the end of the story, it's about he saw a Greyhound dog one time. It made him think of a Greyhound bus. What does that have to do with Willie Nelson? Well, I met him. Didn't you hear the story?
Somebody else have a chance. Maybe one of these days I can have you over on my YouTube channel to discuss something.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, well just reach out to Kathy, my manager, on I think on the documents.info, and you can find her email there or contact. I believe it's on there. It should be.
Kathy, his manager, got it.
Go to DerrickJohnsonCountry.com.
Come on here, I got something for you, buddy.
And go straight to her email.
So
hit her up.
Direct message you through Twitter.
I don't do it on there just because I don't want people to get in the habit of saying, well, he messages me, but then the frauds and scams out there,
I got you. I got you, brother.
Because then it confuses people. But
yeah, but there's no fraud. There's no fraud Kathys. There's only one in the world. My manager.
I try when people
C-Hag.
do direct, but like Facebook, I try to get to all the messages I can, but I don't want anybody ever, because there's so many frauds and scams out there using my name and copycatting. So we're trying to get control of that.
That's one of the issues too. I've noticed a lot of, and I've seen you talk about that. I think you were on, what was it? Trump the Destroyer the other night. We're talking about that.
Well, it's unfortunate because I don't like being negative.
All right, here we go. Are you ready, boys? I hope you understood the assignment. You better brought some notepads, because we're about to go to war.
You don't even have to address some of this, but sometimes you have to just go ahead and address some of these things. It's like, I don't talk bad about people, but the copycatters, the frauds, the scammers, they're doing is keeping division, confusion, and ripping people off, the very things we're trying to fight for, right? Fight against.
Exactly. Well, like I said, again, we appreciate you, and thanks for the info tonight.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thank you for your service again.
You too.
Okay, so Derek, some people are getting a couple DMs from like that guy from the Space Force that's talking about. Do you want to address that real quick with people who ever had any questions?
The guy from the Space Force. The guy from the Space Force who's talking about you. You want to address that for a minute? Let's see how he addresses this. Now, Chuck Ruffkin, Space Force captain, friend of the show, good guy, never done anything wrong, just pointed out that Derek's lying. Like, he doesn't even cuss or yell and scream. This is not true. That's not true. He was one of the first ones to make a video that kind of took off. I've never heard him cuss. He talks about, his faith. He is he's definitely not me. It wouldn't be like Derek saying these things about me. This is like Derek saying these things about someone who's like, I politely disagree. Let's see what happens.
Don't really know what's going on because some people are getting messages right now.
Well, the thing is this, it's like when you're in service, you're under an oath and you're under a national security, like you're a breach of national security. There's nobody who
So Chuck is a breach of national security.
Who is a captain. Nobody who's a captain should be on. First off, TikTok was an executive order that President Trump put into place. Quote unquote.
TikTok was an executive order that Trump put into place. I don't think he knows what he means. There was an executive order signed to ban TikTok. And instead, what they did was have them offload all their U.S. data. All of their U.S. data that's stored is now stored with a U.S. company named Oracle. The same place that stores your Facebook data, stores your Google data, stores all your other data. Oracle is now storing the TikTok data. Now, recently, Biden has made, under Biden, Congress has went above and beyond to try to ban TikTok, saying it wasn't just about the data. But to say TikTok was an executive order that Trump made, Chuck is absolutely not violating anything in his oath. There is no oath that says that I won't make videos with the truth in them. There is no oath that says I won't use TikTok. There is no rules or regulations against being in your military uniform unless it's overtly political, like we talked about. And Chuck's command not only knows about what he's doing, they condone what he's doing, and they watch his videos. His own command watches his videos. So that's interesting. But let's see what lies he makes up.
Quote Biden, who was a continuity government. Those continuity directives clearly paint that we're in a continuity government. All right. And then the laws and orders that Roosevelt put in place, that's what Donald Trump used. So the military, every day out of their states, every single day, those are military orders. Those are not opinions. Those aren't anything of that nature. All right. So when you apply all of that, then you look at that order that Donald Trump put in place. Biden, quote unquote, revoked that order. Right. But then the House, and so the Congress, just this past December, Congress passed this bill again, which is an essential function of Congress. Congress passes the bill to ban all of TikTok for government employees and also universities. And you can Google all over.
So Congress passes this bill to ban TikTok on all universities. Well, that's not true. That was one part of it. That's not true. Some universities are deciding to proactively ban TikTok. Okay? Some universities are deciding to ban TikTok. That is on. They can't ban you from going there on your own mobile phone. That's on their network, using their platform or their network, using their PCs, using their phones. Even there was one in Tennessee. Governor Bill Lee on April 13th signed Senate Bill 0834, which bans individuals to access a social media platform using the institution's networks if the platform is operated or hosted by a company based in the People's Republic of China. Okay. You can't just say I'm a student at University of North Carolina and I can't use TikTok anymore. the same way the military can't do that, okay? The military, first of all, Congress didn't pass that law that banned it at all universities. Now, they did pass a law about DOD personnel, but you can go read that. You can go read that. It is for government phones and devices. You cannot be on a government phone or device. How are they going to ban it on your personal phone? They can say you can't bring your personal phone on base if it's got it, sure. How are they going to ban it on your personal phone? What fucked up country does Derek live in that he thinks that Congress, the federal lawmakers, passed any university can't have TikTok and anybody who works at the Department of Defense can't have TikTok? It's on military devices owned by the Department of Defense. Owned by the Department of Defense. On his personal device, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. The military could tell him he couldn't bring it on base. He couldn't bring it into a military building. He couldn't bring it into a military vehicle. He couldn't bring it to a military meeting. Those are all fine. But if it's on his personal phone, he can have it.
There's universities that are banning their staff from having TikTok. So why in the hell do we have a guy who claims to be a captain in the service on TikTok telling the people, I don't care if he hates me, I don't care if he loves me.
So he says, I don't care if he hates. Obviously, he does. Like, he gets super fucking butthurt because this guy, a guy calls him. He does. I don't think he hates him or loathes him or anything. He says, hey, this isn't true. Hey, this isn't true. But Derek takes that as hate, loathing, whatever, rage, whatever else he's fixing to say.
I don't care. Get out of your freaking service uniform and talk all the crap you want about me. But get out of your freaking uniform and stop talking about the Space Force and what the Space Force does, because that's a breach of national security. It's also breaking your oath.
Imagine not being able to say anything about. He's literally in a program to become a social media advocate for the Space Force. What would you have him talk about? Derek now says because Congress banned it from DOD phones, and for Congress banned it from universities, whatever the fuck that means, that he can't even talk about what the Space Force does. Why? Because Derek claims that the Space Force is bringing in the new Trump web and the 10 days of darkness, and they've taken over all communications for the entire world, and that's how the 10 days of darkness are going to happen. Chuck says, nope, this is our mission. This is what we do. This is what we do at the Space Force. I know some people, like this guy, will tell you this, but what we actually do is this and this. You couldn't even make it through 2 years without getting tortured for 6 months. What the fuck do you know about the military, my man? Coming after Chuck, again, friend of the show.
You're also in complete violation of Department of Defense uniform regulations. I could point out, I've already posted it for everybody.
No, he's not. He's not in violation of uniform fucking regulations. Here's what he said. I need to grab these. All right, so he circles a box that says, active members of the U.S. Air Force, as a good rule of thumb, Air Force members are permitted to engage in low-profile, or are permitted to engage in low-profile political activity in a manner which does not give the appearance that they are acting in an official capacity. For an example, an Air Force member as a citizen may vote, attend as a spectator political meetings and rallies, or join political organizations, or contribute monetarily to a political organization. He's not making it political. He doesn't even say who he votes for. The reason Derek Johnson thinks it's political is because he's saying, no, the whole world knows Trump isn't president. That's why it's political. Generally, however, when a member is doing anything that may be perceived as political activism, especially in a public venue, being in uniform is prohibited. Do you guys think that Chuck is doing political activism? Political activism. Is he out protesting? Is he out burning down cities or tearing down statues or storming the Capitol? Political activism is the line you have to cross in uniform. He then shares the definition of the word prohibited, because it says you're prohibited from being in uniform when doing political activism in a public venue. Political speech is also regulated by the Air Force. Generally, a member can make political statements so long as it's clear that they are clearly personal views, not the views of the Air Force. This means no political buttons on uniforms or signage outside homes, in base housing. A political bumper sticker on your POV is permitted, though it cannot deride the current administration. However, cars festooned with large political signs are not permitted. Any publications by a member cannot be part of an official letter, writing campaign, or a solicitation of votes for a partisan cause. It is also advisable that when a member is publishing political views, i.e. writing a paper to the newspaper editor, that the member should make explicit that the views expressed are not in military capacity. Once again, a more detailed list of approved and unapproved political conduct can be found in AFI 51-902. Service members who fail to abide by this doesn't even matter, can be in legal hot water, blah, blah, blah. So here's some examples. Army Reservist Corporal Jesse Thorson, 28, attended a rally in uniform for President hopeful Ron Paul in Iowa. Such conduct on its own would likely be in violation of 51.902. However, Thorson would likely not be in violation of it. Thorson went further, taking the stage and delivering an impromptu speech extolling the policies of Paul to the rally-goers and later offering interviews to CNN. According to the AP, the military authorities are evaluating whether or not to take disciplinary action. So this guy went on stage with Ron Paul and even did a speech at his event in uniform, and they're still like, I don't know if that's too far. We're evaluating it. At the end of the day, members should exercise his political rights and responsibilities as United States citizens. However, the member should also be mindful of the do's and don'ts of the Air Force policy, which generally direct a member to avoid political speech or conduct that places a member in the spotlight, that gives the impression that the member is acting in an official capacity. If you are considering some political involvement and are unsure whether it's permitted, your first stop should be the legal office. Then an attorney will discuss. So Chuck has spoken to his superiors. Chuck has spoken to his command. Chuck has spoken to the legal department. Chuck has spoken to people high up within Space Force, and they know exactly what he's doing. But Derek says it's political because he doesn't believe this myth that the guy who says he's not president is president, even though the rest of the world agrees that he's not. That's the only thing that makes Chuck political. You can't say he's ever come out and said, Trump was better than Biden. Biden's better than Trump. I'm voting for Hillary. He's never said any of that. He has agreed that the sitting president is the sitting president. All right, let's see what else you got.
You're also in Air Force. Air Force and Space Force. The Space Force is a division, right? It's a department of the Air Force. You're also in Air Force regulation violations of uniform. Also, Nellis Air.
No, he's not.
Which he claims to be.
Nellis Air Force Base.
One of his Facebook profiles shows he started Space Force in 2020. His LinkedIn says he's been in longer than that. So none of his stuff.
Well, he has been in longer than that. So he has been in for a while. He has been in for a while through multiple branches, right? He was originally in the Air Force, and then he was one of the first people to go over to the Space Force, and he's been in the Space Force since then. He's been in the Space Force since then. I just think Derek can't read it. They both say that he went to the Space Force as a theater watch officer, I think, or something like that in 2020. Both his Facebook, all his profiles say the same thing. 135.12. Let me back up just a little bit. All his shit says the same.
Right, it's a department of the Air Force. You're also in Air Force regulation violations of uniform. Also, Nellis Air Force Base, which he claims to be at. One of his Facebook profiles shows he started Space Force in 2020. His LinkedIn says he's been in longer than that.
So we're basically doxing him.
His stuff adds up. First off, he's not consistent.
None of his stuff adds up. So he's doxing him and accusing him of stolen valor. The guy who couldn't make it past 2 years, non-deployable, broke dick motherfucker.
With any of his background, but he's a quote unquote music producer. His wife's a singer. He wants publicity, and
his wife does sing. I don't know how much he would tell you like he's a music producer, but his wife does sing. She's got a lovely voice. I found this out through TikTok. I had no idea. He's not pushing that. He's not trying to say fuck Derek and fuck Trump and here's my wife singing. His wife seems to be a very good singer that I just stumbled upon.
People who are trying to brown nose and use people's names, they want publicity. They want you to talk bad about them. They want this right here. But because he's in uniform, get out of your uniform. Quit telling people that you're this, this, and this. You're not supposed to do that. That's what's wrong with today's.
Quit telling people that I am a captain in the Space Force. I am currently serving here. I started in the Air Force as this, and now I'm in the Space Force as this. And I'd like to be the Space Force social media advocate for recruiting. If you have any questions about the Space Force, let me know. He's not giving away secret intel, you dumb fuck. I know you wouldn't even know what the fuck that looks like because you never left the National Training Center. There is no fucking intel there. But he's not giving away trade secrets.
Military. That is what's wrong. And I will stop nothing short of a United States court-martial for this guy. He deserves it. Matter of fact.
Did you hear that threat? Derek Johnson claims that he will stop at nothing short than to go after Chuck and get him court-martialed. We got an ad coming up. He's going to go and get him court-martialed. He claims that he will not stop until he gets court-martialed. What was the mnemonic device for remembering the fates of the wives of Henry VIII? Survived, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Beheaded, died, divorced. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Died, beheaded, divorced. Died, beheaded, divorced. Beheaded, survived, divorced. You just had to look at them, guys. I'm not going to be doing a good job of reading those, obviously. Let me play you some trivia music, and then we'll talk more about the threat that Derek Johnson made. I never use this. A little song you can sing or whatever, a little rhyme. Mnemonic. I said, what did I say? Mnemonic? I don't think I've ever seen that that word written. Mnemonic. Jess has got it. 50 seconds. At least it's upbeat before we have to talk about going to war with Derek Johnson. You better get ready to get your troll shoes on. Your Sunday schools. Yeah, I'm not saying it like that. I'm just gonna say it the way I've always said it. Uh-oh. What we got here? 12 seconds remaining. What's winning? 1 or 2? 2 is winning. And is that correct? To say B. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. Okay, that rhymes. Thank you guys for playing it. It seems like you guys got it right. Chat thought it was divorced, beheaded, died. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, it was divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. So chat actually got it wrong. Damn, I thought y'all got it right. Thank you for playing. Thank you for playing the game, though. There you go. All right. So Derek says he will stop at nothing short but making this man lose his career in legal action. This is a court-martial is when you go in front of JAG because you've committed a crime so bad that if they convict you, they can send you to military prison. They can kick you out. They can do whatever. This is a full fucking investigation and trial and shit. Okay, he says I'll stop at nothing short then he's promising, I'll stop at nothing short than to seeing this guy get court-martialed. And it gets worse. Here you go.
None of his stuff adds up. First off, he's not consistent with any of his background, but he's a quote-unquote music producer. His wife's a singer. He wants publicity. And I'm sick of these people who are trying to brown nose and use people's names. They want publicity. They want you to talk bad about them. They want this right here. But because he's in uniform, get out of your uniform. Quit telling people that you're this, this, and this.
This is what happens when people let Derek talk unchecked for too long. Somebody should have done rearranged them fucking teeth. Have them swinging open like a saloon door already.
You're supposed to do that. That's what's wrong with
Not that I condone violence, but that's what would happen like back in the day.
today's military. That is what's wrong. And I will stop nothing short of a United States court-martial for this guy. He deserves it. Matter of fact, he's already being investigated by some people with top secret clearance. Top everything.
Again, top secret isn't shit. So then he goes on to claim that he's already being investigated by people with top secret clearance. Basically, everybody in the military that's going to run a mission or work on some type of classified weapon system. Anything classified, top secret. You very rarely do you find anything confidential or secret. It's almost always top secret. So he says he's been investigated by some top secret guys. Top everything. Top everything. Top general classes, top test scores, top knee injuries, top. I hate this guy so bad. So bad.
Reported. So I will fly to Vegas if I have to. I don't believe he's there, but whatever. Nellis Air Force Base has a regulation of uniform for what you can and can't do.
So now the motherfucker not only doxed him at the Air Force Base he's at, but now he's going there too, threatening to show up there.
He's in clear violation of those. Tell him what he doesn't serve.
And he hasn't said a fucking thing about politics yet. I don't even know who the man voted for. Couldn't tell you.
The president. He serves the Constitution. His oath is to the Constitution. How come all these things are clear evidence? How come he's saying this? Why? It's all for his own gain. He claims he's a producer. He claims he's all.
How come he's disputing Derek's quote clear evidence? Because it's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. And I will not stop until you fucking stop.
These things. He's using the Air Force.
You may have more followers, but I've got more felons. So, potato.
Using his status and his clout as a captain in the Air Force to try to build a secondary career. This is the problem we have in America. This is the same thing Charlie Kirk and everybody else has to deal with.
Basically, calling him a disgrace and comparing himself to Charlie Kirk, getting like death threats or whatever. But he's basically calling Chuck a disgrace. This is what's wrong with the military. This is what's wrong with America. I'm like Charlie Kirk. This is what we have to deal with every day.
Unfortunate to have to do this. It's unfortunate it has to come like this because I've avoided all the way up to this point. But a United States service member in a uniform on TikTok, which the government, if the government's banning it, then why should the military? Why do we have a service member in uniform, in fatigues nonetheless? Fatigues are what service members die in. Why do we have?
There we go. He had to get those. He had to get the bodies to stand on. Fatigues, no less. Soldiers died fatigues. Soldiers die in fucking pajamas, bro. The fuck are you talking about, you stupid fuck? Slick sleeve motherfucker.
A service member telling all the people what the Space Force does and what it doesn't do, and then saying stop listening to Derek Johnson. They want publicity, and they want.
Not saying stop listening to Derek Johnson, saying Derek Johnson is wrong about this. This is what Derek Johnson said. The Space Force has taken over communications for Trump secretly so they can shut them all down and come back with the 10 days of darkness and reboot the internet to the new internet, the new Q internet. He says that's not true. That's not even our mission. This guy is not telling you the truth. And you scream, political. It's political.
And it's so unfortunate that we had to come to this. I knew it was going to pop up, but had to address it. But what do you want? Do you want people who uphold the honesty and integrity of the oath and the national security and also everything to do with the military?
When he fucking snuck out due to feigning an injury. He snuck out to feigning an injury. And now he's like, what do you want? Me, an honorable veteran, or this piece of shit over here who's all political? What?
I don't know what happened, but anyway. So it is what it is. You know, it's unfortunate, but he's the very reason that I went viral. It's people like that. I didn't go viral telling how Donald Trump was president by all laws and orders. I went viral because I was telling people it's a desecration of uniform for people like this to act like that. And it is. So
to act like what? Hold on. You guys tell me if he's giving away any trade secrets, if he's acting unbecoming, if he's acting overtly political, if he's doing anything that would be a detriment to the military or the Space Force in any way, shape, or form. You guys tell me. I can't listen to the ones with music.
This is such a fantastic observation, and I'm so blessed that you pointed it out. Thanks, this is such a fantastic observation, and I'm...
Hey, good morning. It's your favorite Space Force captain coming at you once again. And I have some breaking news just for you. Just recently, we had a change in a base name. Thule Air Base, which is one of our many radar stations, recently changed its name to reflect our current Space Force culture. As you can see right here, the new name change is, well, pronounced
Bidufik. That's got to be P-Tufik. P-Tufik. The pronunciation has got to be spelled wrong right there. That's got to be a P instead of a B. It's Pit-U-Fak. But the pronunciation says Bidufik. It's got to be P-Tufik. Is the traditional Greenlandic name of the region where the base is located.
Bidufik. I don't know what that is. To me, it looks like Patuffik. I don't know if that's right or not, but it looks like Patuffik. Even that sign, Patuffik. Space Base. But it is called Patuffik Space Base. It's going to take me a little while to get used to calling it Bidufik. I think that might be the correct pronunciation. Anyways, besides all that, it unveiled a new naming at the Space Base in Green.
All right, so he hasn't given away any secrets yet.
That's a great question.
Okay.
That question. Wow, that's a great question.
We speak different languages. Huh? We have different faces, but inside we are same, but different, but still same.
Anything here in violation? If this was just a random soldier and we didn't know him and he wasn't a friend of mine and nothing was going on and Derek had never, would you be reporting him to the Department of Defense yet? That's so fucking cool. God damn it.
We have these. I knew they were going to we have these same procedures on our iPad.
That's so cool.
Good evening, it's your favorite Space Force captain coming at you once again. Officer training school, and what does that look like for the Space Force? I get a lot of questions about what does the commissioning process look like for Guardian. Today we had the very first all Guardian flight graduate from officer training school here at Maxwell Air Force Base. I am right. How you doing? It's your favorite Space Force captain coming at you once again. Today I'm going to answer this question from one of my greatest followers.
Are there positions where you'd be utilized for tasks of the Air Force and Space Force simultaneously?
Jody. She asks whether or not we would be utilized for tasks for the Air Force and the Space Force simultaneously. Since we are a part of the Department of the Air Force, we support a lot of functions that the Air Force requires the Space Force to help them with their missions. The first mission where I can say directly supports the Air Force is GPS navigation.
You're playing VR headsets, so that's good. seeing them graduate basic training. He's like the nicest fucking guy in the world. Did you just see him wave at the camera? And Derek's trying to get him court-martialed over this. Derek's threatening to show up where he's stationed at. Derek's saying he won't stop until he's court-martialed. Because he said Derek was wrong. Let's go find that video now.
Good morning, it's Favorite Space Force Captain coming at you. I just received. Hello, it's Favorite.
I don't even know if it's still up.
Good morning, it's Favorite.
This is February. Digital Ambassador is the name of it.
Desk of your favorite Space Force Captain. I'm getting.
The mission of the United States Space.
I know I got it. Hold on. Let me see if I can just grab the link. Space Force Chuck. Everybody was asking in my chat today. Everybody was asking if here it is. We'll watch it here. If there was a video of Derek threatening
Captain coming at you.
Chuck. Well, yeah, there
I
is.
think this is my first ever post about any individual versus something that has to deal with the Space Force.
This is the worst one he has.
Followers had seen. I posted a video last week in regards to correcting some information from Derek Johnson, who completely misinterprets what the Space Force is for and what we do. Ever since then, Derek Johnson has gone on all of his platforms and has gone on a rampage trying to call me out without actually specifically saying my name. Here, he writes a long post on his Facebook page called 1776 Nation. If you're a member of that group, I would definitely stop following it. He calls me out by calling me the pretty boy, is trying to prove his point. And he doesn't really directly say it, but my profile picture, in case you haven't noticed, has a lot of medals on my uniform. And I do talk about how many years in service I got. My biggest issue is that he's taken the Constitution, the laws, and the policies that he keeps referencing, and he twists them and forms
Is this political? Is that what this is? Who's he saying to vote for?
them to his own agenda. He is taking what hard Americans like myself, who wear the uniform every single day, and others in every single other branch of military who serve this country day in and day out, and he's bastardizing the laws and the policies that we have sworn an oath to. Yesterday, during one of his Facebook lives, he talked about the construct of the DoD and arranging satellite communication units from other branches of military into the United States Space Force for the first time ever. That is correct. As Department of Defense, we have realigned forces that were a part of other branches of military and put them underneath the United States Space Force. The United States Space Force is responsible for organizing, training, and equipping all of the available space functions that are related to satellite communications, as well as anything that is ground-based. So now those units that were originally aligned underneath different branches of service are now properly aligned underneath a branch of service that can provide the federal funding that it requires to update, upgrade, and provide the manpower for those capabilities. He continues on his ramblings, saying that President Joe Biden doesn't officially recognize the United States Space Force as an official branch of service. In fact, as you can see here, you can go to whitehouse.gov and see that during his administration, he originally established the National Space Council. As you can see, the National Space Council is within the executive.
This guy's pretty horrible. I'm going to get him reported, I think.
Advice to the president on formulation and implementation of space policy and strategy.
I want to watch the whole thing so they can't say we did anything.
Which he already has by trying to correct every single incorrect piece of information he puts out there for you. However, I will say, if Derek Johnson wants to have a formal debate with me, instead of blocking me on all of his platforms so I can't do any kind of rebuttal, I'd be more than happy to. I hope you have a great day.
Even wishing him a great day. Like, come on, dude. I don't know what that other shit was. There's some big old titties in there, though. I think this is the original one here.
Good morning. It's your favorite Space Force Captain coming at you once again. I hope you guys are having a great day.
I just wanted to share a video that's been spreading around.
He doesn't even say anybody's name here.
About a lot of misinformation about what the actual space.
These are the only two he's addressed any of this stuff. The first one was after Derek called him out, called him pretty boy, talking about his medals, talking about his years of service, talking about everything, saying he was violating policy and law and this, that, and the other. And he's like, hey, this guy's calling me out. He's upset because of this. If I were you, I wouldn't be following him. This is not accurate. He's bastardizing the Constitution and what we fight for and serve under for his own benefit. But he never said, and I voted for Biden, you son of a bitch, or anything like you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know who the guy pulls for politically, because he knows that he's talking, when he talks to me, he's in an official capacity. I shouldn't know. Has nothing to do with it.
Is and what they can do. Check out a brief clip, and I'll try and square some things away.
Oh, hold on, time out. So Space Force is in charge right now of the military command, or what do you say, the military news?
Well, everything, all broadcasts, all internet. They have the power to shut it down. They have the power to control it, which they've been doing. Same thing.
I don't know who Derek Johnson or who the other guy is, but what they're saying is completely incorrect. Keep listening to some more.
That's how they will shut it all down, right there, Space Force. That's why he created it in the first place.
Space Force don't mean going out of space. It don't mean getting in a shuttle or popping out. We're talking about cyberspace.
He briefly mentions cyberspace, which isn't all the way incorrect, but just to let you know, cybersecurity is very important in the United States Space Force and in any government institution, to include critical infrastructure for the entire United States of America.
We're talking about intelligence from that level. So that's what people have to understand.
He briefly mentions intelligence here, and I have an intelligence.
That's right.
And just to let you know that every member of the DoD is considered a member of the intelligence community. So they all either contribute or receive information based on.
Not to mention, he way outranks Derek Johnson as a specialist. He's a captain, so he was I don't know why the Space Force does it, but he would have been a first lieutenant, second lieutenant, then captain, right? So, like, if anybody's would know what he can and cannot put on social media, and we had to pick one of the two, it would definitely be Chuck. It would not be, obviously that backs it up when we were watching the videos, blah, blah, blah. But like, what the fuck with Derek Johnson? When he was in, there wasn't even any social media. He wasn't even in long enough to have any type of run-in with fucking posting online. Like, what the fuck?
What their organization is defending.
You know, we're talking about legit intelligence. So Executive Order 13885 was also brilliant.
The last topic I'm going to touch on when it comes to quantum computing. I have a master's in cybersecurity. And just to let you know that quantum computing, the technology that it requires in order for us to successfully establish a full network, is not nearly there. There's still several institutions, organizations, universities, research institutes, whatever you want to call them, they're still out there trying to conduct research on how to successfully do quantum computing. And it's not going to be any time near in our future that we'll see a fully developed network with quantum computing. And this executive order, all this does is make sure that an executive arm of our government is going out and putting resource towards that research so we can improve our networking capabilities by utilizing quantum computing. I think that's all I have to say about that, but just to let you know, these guys are spreading misinformation about the Space Force. Take it from your resident guardian. Call me and ask if you really have questions.
Call me and ask if you really have any questions. I think the music just keeps playing or something. It keeps going, but like, is any of this deserving of a court-martial, unbecoming, overtly political, needs to be done out of uniform, illegal in any way, shape, or form, deserving of a hearing or speaking with his command? Obviously not. Derek is a piece of shit. Derek is a pussy. I don't know what else to say. Derek has done this before. When he said active duty right now is doing this, this, and this, and somebody said, "Look, I'm on active duty. We're not doing that. We haven't done that. We're not. That's not us. I don't know what you're talking about. But that's not us." And Derek's like, "I'm reporting you. Is your profile picture you in uniform? I'm reporting you to your commander, and I'm going to make sure that they take your rank and they take your paycheck." This is what he does because he can't argue any of the points. He is willfully ignorant. He knows he's misinterpreting everything to give him some type of generous leeway to himself, right? He wants people to believe him, whatever his motive is. If it's the fame you think if he didn't have a motive, when his own fucking family called him out as a lying piece of shit, broke dick motherfucker, non-deploying piece of shit in the military, that he had to walk back a fucking lie in front of his own father, how fucking disgusting about his service, How fucking embarrassing that you'd lie to your own dad and have to walk it back in his presence. Not about like who as a child and you took the fucking cookie and said you didn't. Your service in the military, you had to walk back a fucking lie in front of your dad. You had to walk back a fucking lie in front of your dad. You're a piece of shit, dude. Every time someone calls you out, you can't stand on it, so you go and attack them, claiming you served for the right reasons. Like I said, walking back lies, confronted by your family, actually served to get your college paid for, lying about being fucking tortured, lying about all these things that surround your service, non-deploying fucking broke dick motherfucker. And come on here and call some out who's dedicated fucking 20 years or whatever of their life to serve in the military. You're a piece of shit, dude. And you just made some brand new enemies. I hope that no one ever takes it easy. No one ever backs off. No one ever quits. Coming for you every day to disprove you, to take you down, to remove you from the internet, to report everything you fucking do. I hope you never succeed in any way, shape, or form again. I know you will. The grifting's big right now. I know you will. But you're going to disappear one day. And the rest of us will still be here. So thank you guys for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you for the donations tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. I can't believe this guy went after fucking Chuck while he's like, hey, disrespectfully agree over here. Agree to disagree. You know, like he's the nicest fucking guy on the internet because he might be a lot rowdier than that in private life. I don't know, but he is representing the Air Force and he's doing a perfect fucking job of it. So fuck Derek Johnson. I already turned on alerts for every goddamn thing you do. Expect to see me there a lot. I'm the king of the trolls. I'll ban the trolls. Good luck. Good luck. I've built up a long career of having several hundred accounts on every platform. We'll see you on the next one. Everybody have a good night. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the support. See everybody on the next one. Have a good one, guys. I feel like I'm back in my groove making enemies again here. It's been a while. I tried the way of peace for 10, 15 minutes, but I'm out. It's not for me. Support the stream while we're offline at coldbeer.fund. Coldbeer.fund. Thank you guys personally for the support. I didn't sleep at all last night. I gotta sleep. Gotta be back up in the morning to do some different work. Earn a little bit of money on the side here. Keep the show going.
Never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves. We won't let the world burn away. Burn away. We feel betrayed.
The next step after getting to Division 9, if you download the game, I'm gonna be playing it during the day tomorrow, as long as I don't fucking crash out and sleep all day. When I'm here at the office in the day tomorrow, I'm gonna be playing it for a few hours. I've got a week to complete it now that I started it. But the next step, let me make sure I'm not saying it wrong. It says it's something that I don't know what it is because I haven't played it, but it's get at least 8 viewers to perform Mech Arena 60 first point captures. So maybe you got to be the first person in a round to score 60 times or something. I don't know. Macarena first point capture. Oh, is it like capture the flag? Capture the flag, I would assume. The very first capture the flag, I bet. Now go download the game and hit get down to Division 9, and we'll get as many people as we can help the show out here in 60 or 90 days whenever they pay me. Thank you, guys. Everybody have a good night. See you in the next one.